Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Thank you to Simon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the final Saturday 3 o'clock doubleheader even over the season. Technically, both Newcastle and Sunderland could still be relegated or could still make it into Europe. Neither feels particularly likely for either team, but you never know. Let's start just down the road. Newcastle hosting Brighton at St James's Park, from where Matthew Raisbeck can bring us the team news.
Well, they've got Anthony Gordon back after injury, but only as a substitute, and there's just one change to the 11. Joe Linton, following a suspension, returns in midfield for Jacob Ramsey. That means Dan Burn continues at left back with Lewis Hall on the bench.
Razor, thank you. We'll be back with you and with John Anderson shortly. You can listen to their game this afternoon on FM and on the BBC Sounds app. Sunderland, meanwhile, are a little bit further south in the West Midlands to face already relegated Wolves, and Nick Barnes can bring us the team news from Molineux.
Yes, two changes here, and probably fans will like the change. Ruff's in goal, Michele Ballard, Alderete and Reynaldo comes in at left back, Xhaka and Siddiqui, but Taubi comes in on the left. Lefay will play in the middle, Hume on the right, Broby up front, and Wolves make three changes this afternoon.
We'll be back with Barnsley and Gary Bennett shortly as well. Their game is on DAB and Freeview this afternoon. It's an enormous afternoon at South Shield, hopefully the first of two enormous Saturdays in a row. They face Buxton in the National League North playoff semi-final. That one doesn't kick off until 4 o'clock today. We'll preview it very shortly though. And Durham's cricketers, both men and women, in action today. The men still unbeaten at the start of the county championship. It's day 2 at Lords against Middlesex. We'll check in with Martin Emerson very shortly as well. You can have your say on today's football with Ando and Benno after the matches have finished as well. They will stick around until 5:45 at the very least. The season is not winding down, not yet.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Good afternoon, I am Colin White in the BBC Radio Newcastle studios this afternoon as all the action takes place at St James's Park and at Molineux, and then later on at the First Cloud Arena this afternoon as well. We'll return to South Shield's National League North playoff semi-final shortly. But first of all, again, quick explanation to let you know, if you want to listen to today's matches, two different places. If you want to listen to Newcastle against Brighton, that one will be on FM and on the BBC Sounds app this afternoon. We will keep reminding you plenty between now and kick-off. Sunderland at Wolves is on DAB and Freeview this afternoon, and we'll go back down to Molineux in a few minutes' time. But we start at St James's Park by saying a proper good afternoon to Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson.
Hello, Colin.
Hi, Colin.
Let's take us through that 11. I know there's not many changes, Razor. Take us through that in a little bit more detail then.
Yes, in full. It is Pope in goal, Miley at right back, Chow and Botman in central defence, and Byrne at left back once again, which will be interesting. And we know how popular and how brilliant Lewis Hall is, but Dan Byrne continues on the left side of defence. Midfield, Bruno, Tonali, Joe Linton back from a 2-match suspension. And the front three, well, we probably expected the forward line, the forward players to change. I know it's fluid when they get out there on the pitch, but Murphy, Willock and Osula are what we're expecting the front three to be, assuming Newcastle line up that way. With who they've got back and who they've got on the bench, I thought probably expected it to be different. I think it was the hardest part of the team to call, but Eddie Howe is sticking with the players that started at Arsenal in all but one case, with Joe Linton back for Jacob Ramsey. The bench in full: Ramsdale, Trippier, Hall, Wissa, Gordon, Barnes, Ilanga, Voltemada and Ramsey. I'm a little bit surprised, Colin. I think you are as well, Ando.
Yeah, I have to say I am surprised. That forward three, I expected changes to be made, but obviously he's stuck with them. I feel for Jacob Ramsey as well, actually, Razor, because I thought he played well at Arsenal last week. He wanted to get on the ball, he looked to pass it forward. But we've said on Total Sport that he would always go with that tried and tested midfield three. Got a lot of faith in them, and I think, especially at home, Lewis Hall not coming back is a bit of a surprise as well. Yeah. Away from home, maybe you can understand it to a degree, but you're at home, you're expected to have more of the ball. he's good on the ball, he gets forward, he uses it well. So that's a surprise for me as well. But it's a bold shout, the team that he's picked, I have to say.
And also, Colin, Brighton have Yankuba Minte on the right, the former Newcastle player. He was on the books, didn't feature. Obviously, we know all about the transfer to Brighton. He spent a bit of time playing on the left, but has moved back over to the right, and Karu Mitoma's on the left for Brighton. You've got two dangerous wingers. Mitoma, one of the best wide players in the Premier League. Minte on his day, and he's had plenty of good days. He scored a couple of goals against Newcastle as well before. Can be devastatingly effective because he's quick and loves to cut inside. Obviously, Dan Burney's not known for his pace. Lewis Hall, you would think, would have been a better match in terms of the 1v1s with that, but also it has been remembered and pointed out that Hall was the player who was taken on by Ryan for Bournemouth when he set up their first goal here a couple of weeks ago. But that would always be an area of concern, wouldn't it, with Byrne at left back against a quick winger. But mind you, we've been saying that for 3 or 4 years, and in the main he's defended pretty well against pace. But that will obviously be an area that Brighton are targeting and looking at as a potential source of joy today.
I do, Andrew, just want to come back to the front three as well, because you've said, and we've said plenty times before, that Eddie Howe has faith and demonstrates and shows faith in certain players. I just wonder if there's maybe a slight shift in the players that he now has more faith in, because that's a front three, like you say, that isn't necessarily packed full of 3 players that you would previously have put in the category of he relies on week in, week out.
Well, you could put Murphy in that category, to be fair.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
he's always shown an awful lot of faith in Murphy. I think when the chips are down to a degree, if you want to put it that way, Murphy is one of his go-to players. I mean, obviously the 3 in midfield, that goes without saying, and Dan Bourne is probably another one that he goes to. Tried and tested belief. But if it was to go wrong today, if they weren't to win today, I think with the side that he's named, I think an awful lot of questions would be asked.
And also, Razor, we can't ignore the fact that a lot of the discussion this week has not really been about on-field things at all. It's been about the big conversations 18 miles away at Matfin Hall.
The Newcastle United Summit, as it has been described, the annual summit. They have regular meetings, a regular communication with the owners from PIF, the majority owners from Saudi Arabia. But the fact that they are in town and have been across this week is significant. There's lots of Newcastle United things to get sorted, to get moving, whether it's infrastructure related projects like the future of the stadium, whether it's St James's Park redevelopment or a new ground, a brand new training facility. It's important to point out that they're still investing money in improvements to the current training base in Benton, but there is so much off the pitch that probably needs to be agreed on and signed off and financed. And then there's the football side of things as well, with a disappointing Premier League season. And it will not have gone unnoticed that Leeds' victory last night over Burnley saw them overtake Newcastle, and Newcastle United are now 15th in the tables. They've dropped a place. They've got to try and get a results plural between now and the end of the season in the final 4 matches. Otherwise, the speculation and the pressure about Eddie Howe's future will only get stronger and louder. His future has been something that he's answered questions on in press conferences over the last few weeks. It came up again yesterday at his pre-match media briefing following the meetings that were held on Thursday. And Eddie Howe says that he retains confidence about his future here as the manager following those talks with the owners, which he described as constructive, and also said that meeting them and talking about the football side of things and this season and what's gone wrong didn't really change anything for him.
I've never needed clarity on my head, in the sense that I'm here and I'm working and I'm committed, and that won't change. Obviously the football club has to do what a football club has to do, and the football club has to see that we're going in the right direction and there's a positive feeling and the team's fighting on all fronts to try and get results. I felt at Arsenal there's a real positive upturn in performance. We need to see that continue. We know the importance of the game. But I always find with these things you can talk as much as you want. The proof is always in how the team performs. So I'm under no illusions that needs to be positive.
And I will let you, Razor and Ando, discuss a little bit more about the off-field things between now and kick-off at 3 o'clock. I know you'll hear more from Eddie Howe if you're listening to the Newcastle game on FM and on BBC Sounds today. But just finally, Razor, the Brighton team, you've mentioned Ikuba Minte. Annoyingly, from a Newcastle point of view, it's got Danny Welbeck in it as well.
And that's the only change for Brighton. Of course, Welbeck was going to come back and face Newcastle. He scored twice against them in October in a 2-1 victory. He scored twice here last season, the winning goal in each of Brighton's 2 trips to St James's Park. Still going strong at 35. He has 13 Premier League goals this season, Danny Welbeck. He is in up front for Brighton in place of Jorginho Rutter, who's on the bench. Brighton, Verbruggen in goal. Vifa, Van Hecke, Boskagli and Kadioglu at the back. Gross and Baliba in midfield. Minte, Hinshelwood, Mitoma, Welbeck up front. The long-serving skipper, the centre-half, Lewis Dunk, is on the bench. He's had a suspension. It's been kept out by Boskagli at centre-back. But it's a very familiar-looking and well-functioning Brighton team who are 5 unbeaten, Colin, and 6th in the Premier League table, eyeing a return to Europe next season. Big day for them. Huge day for Newcastle United, who just desperately need a win.
Indeed. Matthew Racebit, John Anderson, thank you very much for the moment then. I know I keep reminding you, but I guess I can't do it too often. Newcastle's game is on FM and on the BBC Sounds app this afternoon. So on FM radio or your phone or a tablet or your smart speaker to listen to BBC Radio Newcastle via BBC Sounds. Right then, let's head down to Molineux and say a proper good afternoon to Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett. Afternoon, gentlemen.
Very good afternoon. Lovely afternoon, I have to say. Good.
I've been in the Environs of Birmingham the last 2 weekends. Benno and I went down to Aston Villa a fortnight ago. I was at Kidderminster last weekend and had 2 very successful trips. So hopefully the weather's holding up for you as well. That Sunderland 11 then, first of all, again, Barnes, a couple of changes.
Yeah, Roofs in goal. Mukiele, Ballard, Alderete, Reynaldo comes back in at left back. Xhaka, Siddiqui, Hume moves from left back to right wing. Lefay as the number 10. Taubi comes in on the left wing. Broby. Up front, the bench is Elborg, O'Nien, Hertrauda, Sirkin, Rigg, Mayenda, Isidore, Diarra, and Jocelyn is back in the squad on the bench this afternoon. And the Wolves team, just to quickly give you that, David Bentley comes in Dan Bentley comes in goal.
That would have been a surprise.
Arsenal keeper. Yeah, I had David on my mind. Dan Bentley's come back in. An injury to Jose Sarr keeps him out today. Yerson Mosquera, the Colombian who's had a 2-match suspension, comes in back into the central defence. 3 at the back, Santiago Bueno and Totti. Lima, João Gomez, Andre, Hugo Bueno. In for Rodrigo Gomez comes Tolu Arakadari, the Nigerian international, alongside Matthias Mane and Adam Armstrong up front for Wolves.
So 2 changes, Benno, then for Sunderland. Are either of them a response, do you think, to what happened at the Stadium of Light last Friday night or not?
No, I just think he's going to freshen things up. I think we had a feeling that Diarra may miss out. He's not having the, we spoke about it on Total Sport last night in regards of his form and confidence. He's just taken him out, and again we talk about Lefay again playing in his best position as a 10. I think that's where he wants to play. And then on the right hand side, we knew that there was going to be a change. Chris Rigg's done well out there on the right hand side, but he's not an out and out winger. So you would imagine maybe the likes of Talby going out there and playing on that right hand side.
He likes Hume. He's always wanted to try and keep Hume in the team where he can, and having Reynaldo back in then on the left has enabled him to do that. And we've seen Hume play on that right hand side a few times this season, and I think the majority of fans, I think, would want to see Lefay in that central position, and I think that's the key thing this afternoon. It's put Lefay where he wants to play, and I think where Regis de Vries, where he has said this week, it is his best position. So to me it looks a much more balanced team with Taubi on the left.
Yeah, and it's interesting to talk about Hume just a little bit more, Benno, because he's one who we talked about earlier in the season when he was dropped out of the team. He was unlucky. It was almost just numbers. Le Bris talked about having 14 or 15 players he could start with, and he was just the one who happened to miss out. But he's now in the team today ahead of the likes of Rig and Mayenda and Isidore, who could play out there. Obviously, Jocelyn coming back from injury. That's a real boost for him to be playing in a different position, slightly different position, ahead of some others.
I think when you look at it, I think right throughout the season, he's one of them which you've got to say Reggie Lebris trust. You know, we talk about 09, how obviously he trusts 09, but you've got to say with Trey Hume, he trusts Trey Hume. And a lot of people question, could he play in the Premier League? But he knows what you're going to get out of Trey Hume, no matter where you're going to play him. Play him right back, you can play him as a centre back, you can play him at left back, you can play him right side of midfield, or you can even play him in the midfield. One thing for sure, you're going to get, you know what you're going to get, that little bit of bite.
Where you mentioned him as right back, because Hume, ahead of you mentioned Colin, Mayenda, Isidore and Rig can all play on the right side. The one advantage that Trey Hume has got over those three is that when Mukiele pushes forwards, as he likes to do, and make runs down the right wing, Hume can cover him at right back because that's his natural position. So it makes sense for Hume and Mukiele to be in on that right hand side because they can overlap with each other.
And that just adds to the overall balance. But you'll hope, Benno, that there is quite a bit of attacking done today because it's Wolves, because they're bottom of the table, and they're bottom of the table because they're the worst team in the Premier League. You can't argue against that, but it has to be different and a lot better than Friday night, finally.
Oh, it does, but let's not get carried away coming to Wolves and thinking because where they are, it's just going to be a case of just turn up and you're going to get 3 points. They're going to be a team who they know where they stand. There's no pressure on them. They're just going to come out and play with freedom. We've got to make sure we do the jobs right, and that's something which we didn't do last Friday against Nottingham Forest.
I overheard an interesting conversation in the press room before we came on air, and Steve Wilson, who's here for Match of the Day, was asking a former player who I didn't recognise, I think he's a former Wolves player. He said, will Wolves be up for it today because they don't want to finish bottom of the table? They can still overtake Burnley, and it's a thing not to finish bottom. And the player went, no. I thought, oh, right, okay. And modern players in sight, they're not bothered. But that isn't it. You think perhaps if there's any pride to play for, that would be something that they would look to do. But I guess modern day footballers, most of them here, most of these players know they probably won't be here next season anyway.
Yeah, I just wonder if you've got one aim for the season, which is to stay up, and you don't achieve it, then it sort of doesn't matter the extent to which you don't achieve it. You just haven't achieved it, and therefore you're not going to take any consolation from anything else. I don't know. Plenty of time for the two of you to continue conversations about Wolves and about Sunderland this afternoon. Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett, thank you very much for the moment. Then a reminder, you can listen to them on DAB and Freeview channel 719 this afternoon. We will begin our respective build-ups from Molineux and St James's Park in a few minutes' time. We'll head to the cricket in a few minutes as well. But let's talk South Shields first then, because they are at home to Buxton in the National League North playoff semi-final this afternoon. The winner of this playoff plays the winner of Kidderminster against Macclesfield, the other semi-final that kicked off at 12:30 and that still has Kidderminster leading it, and as they should, on their playoff position and the fact that they're at home, by 2-0. Only 5 minutes left now in that game, plus a bit of injury time, but Kidderminster 2-0 up on Macclesfield. So it does look as though if South Shields get through today, it's a rematch against the team that prevented them from winning the league last weekend. 4 o'clock kickoff at the First Cloud Arena. Our non-league reporter Paul Dixon will be there after he's had a chat with us here. Afternoon, Dicker.
Good afternoon, Colin.
Disappointment last weekend, obviously, but in the end, it wouldn't have mattered what they'd done at Kidderminster because Fylde went and won at Merthyr anyway. They're favourites to beat Buxton today because of the league position, but that does actually mean that all the pressure's on South Shields, doesn't it?
Well, it is. I'm a bit nervous and a bit worried after seeing them play against Kidderminster last week. Brilliant game, it really was. You were there, Cole, with me, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. But the Kidderminster goalkeeper was man of the match. Now, we don't get man of the match if you haven't been involved with a few shot saving and crosses and what have you. And South Shields had that. They need to go at Buxton today. I mean, they've played them twice, Colin. They haven't beaten them this season so far, but they can't worry about Kidderminster. I mean, they're there. They're already in the playoff place. They've really got to have a go at Buxton. I mean, it'll be packed this afternoon, and the South Shields fans will be behind them. Ian Watson will have them really, really fired up. There's a little problem though, Colin. Will Jenkins, who's the captain and a very influential midfield player, came off last week, as we've seen, and he had an ice pack. There's a rumour that I'm not sure if he's getting over that injury to play this afternoon, but they could do with him. They could do with him in the team in centre midfield. They're really good.
Yeah, we'll not find out that team until 3 o'clock because it's an hour before kickoff, and it's a 4 o'clock kickoff today. They've made some good starts in games quite recently, South Shields. They've got goals in them. We know that. A good start today, and then that the idea is make a good start, score a couple, and set yourselves on your way. But it's never quite as easy as that.
Well, it's not, but they've done that against Macclesfield.
Yeah.
It was 4-1, and they were really exciting. The game was won in the first 20 minutes. I think they've got to do something like that this afternoon, Con. It'll be disappointing if they don't get through, because they've been top of the league all season and failed to pip them on the line. But they're still there. 2 games to play. Can they do it? We'll know this afternoon.
We will. Just one quick word very quickly on Jarrow as well, because it could be quite the South Tyneside treble by the end of this season, with Hebburn having already won their league and South Shields hopefully going up as well. Jarrow at Yarman Eaglescliff in the Northern League Division 2 playoff final. That is at 3 o'clock, but they're playing a team that finished 14 points ahead of them in the league.
That's right. Is there something in the water on South Tyneside there? You know what, with South Shields, Hebburn, and we wish Jarrow all the best, Con.
We do indeed. Thank you very much indeed to you then, Paul Dixon, our non-league reporter, who will bring us updates this afternoon from the First Cloud Arena. We will speak to him probably just before kickoff, because that'll be about half time in the Newcastle and Sunderland games this afternoon. They are just about finished in the Championship. They're getting towards the end of all those 12:30 kickoffs as well. Deep into injury time, so I'll tell you what, I'll come back to them, although actually all the jeopardy has gone because Ipswich are 3-0 up on Queen's Park Rangers, so Ipswich are going to finish second, and it looks as though it's going to be Hull who make it into the playoffs, but I'll come back to those scores once they are full times in a moment. In the WSL 2 today, the final round of games all kicking off at 3 o'clock. Nothing riding on Durham against Newcastle or Ipswich against Sunderland. Fortunately from a Durham point of view, unfortunately from a Newcastle United point of view. It's a fascinating battle though at the top between Charlton, Birmingham and Crystal Palace for the 2 automatic promotion places. Just 1 point separating those 3, and Charlton and Birmingham play each other this afternoon as well. We'll keep a little eye on them as the afternoon progresses, but let's turn our attentions to cricket now. It's day 1 of Durham's match at Middlesex was a relatively slow affair yesterday. Here's Martin Emerson to tell us how day 2 is progressing. Afternoon, Martin.
Yes, well, it was a very, very slow first half hour this morning with Ryan Higgins and Zafar Goa not really in any mood to go for any runs. Only 9 runs were added in about the first 9 overs, but then they managed to push on. The partnership eventually came to an end after lunch when Goa was bowled by Ben Rain on 56. He tried to smash him into next week and missed the ball and lost his off stump, so that ended the partnership of the 7th wicket at 124. Higgins has since gone as well. Ben Rain has to keep us standing up to the stumps now, so Higgins rooted in his crease, tried to push at a ball from Rain a few moments ago and edged it to Casey Aldridge, who took a lovely low catch at first slip, so he departed for 131, and that is the 17th fifer in Ben Rain's first class career, his 13th for Durham. So at the minute, Middlesex in the sunshine here are 404 for 8, so they've had a very good first innings, but it looks like a good batting track as well. The only fly in the ointment from a Durham point of view now could be that they have another lengthy partnership develops late on, but secondly, there's some pretty heavy rain due in about 5 o'clock, and I'm not sure once that arrives that we'll see any further play after that. But for now, Middlesex are still out there in their first innings and they're 404 for 8.
Martin, thank you very much as always, and you can listen to Martin's commentary on the BBC Sport website and app. If you navigate to the cricket page, then you will find a list of all the streams there, and just pick the right match and you can find commentary of that one. Durham's women are in action at Chesley Street today in the One Day Cup, and they are taking on the Blaze, which is Nottinghamshire to everyone else. They fielded first, and the Blaze made 240 for 8 in their 50 overs. So Durham's target, therefore, 241. They're not far in. They're not even 5 overs into their chase, but they are 22 for no loss, trundling along at pretty much the required run rate, just slightly below it, but a long way to go in that one. We'll keep you posted on that this afternoon. I don't think I can fill too much more time before the final scores in the Championship. The basketball, though, I will tell you about this, because last night Newcastle Eagles men in the first leg of their Super League playoff quarter final against London Lions, the seedings meant this was always going to be very, very difficult. It's 8th against 1st Newcastle Eagles. They were beaten by 90 points to 72, which means they are effectively starting on minus 18 for tomorrow's second leg down in the capital. They have to beat London Lions by at least 18 points, which feels unlikely but not impossible. In the Women's Super League quarterfinals, they've just played over one leg. So Newcastle Eagles away at Oakland Wolves at 5 o'clock today, and it's a one-off, one-leg quarterfinal there. In Rugby League, Newcastle Thunder at home to Backley this afternoon. 4 o'clock kickoff for that one. It's their 11th game of the season, Newcastle Thunder. They've won 7 of the first 10. It's been a terrific start and quite the turnaround from last couple of seasons for them. So good luck to them this afternoon. Not quite so good for Berwick Bandits in the Speedway last night, beaten 54-36 at Edinburgh Monarchs in the BSN Series. The second leg of that match is today. At the snooker in Sheffield, it's semi-finals day. It's semi-finals conclusion day as well in the World Championships. Mark Allen taking on Wu Yize of China in the session that finished earlier, and they are still tied. You may know now about the longest frame ever played at the Crucible yesterday, described on the BBC Sport website as a slugfest yesterday. There was some fantastic snooker this morning though, so they are still tied together at 11-all. Whereas John Higgins leads Sean Murphy by 13 frames to 11. They get underway and they will play to a finish in about 5 minutes' time. You can watch that one on the BBC Sport website and on BBC iPlayer as well. And I am now going to have to tell you all the championship scores, even though they haven't quite finished yet. Leicester have actually won 1-0 at Blackburn, but that's not of great consequence. Ipswich are promoted. They are 3-0 up against Queen's Park Rangers into the last minute, which means they will finish second behind Coventry. Coventry, incidentally, winning 4-0 today at Watford. And Ellis Sims' hat-trick. Victor Torp got the other one. Middlesbrough needed Ipswich to not win and do a job on Wrexham. It's finished 2-2 at the Racecourse Ground. Wrexham 2, Middlesbrough 2, which means Wrexham aren't going up either. Middlesbrough are going to have to be content with the playoffs. Millwall did their bit by beating Oxford United 2-0, but they knew that they had to do that and hope that Ipswich didn't win. So Ipswich finished second. Millwall, Middlesbrough go into the playoffs. They will be joined, of course, by Southampton, who were already there, and by Hull City, who effectively overtook Derby on the last day. Derby at one stage were beating Sheffield United, and Hull were losing, which meant that it would have been them going through. But 2 turnarounds, which mean that Derby have lost 2-1 at home to Sheffield United. Hull City have beaten Norwich 2-1, which means that, yes, Hull City steal that final playoff place. They'll play Millwall in the playoffs. Southampton and Middlesbrough will take on each other over 2 legs, and it's Coventry and Ipswich that are promoted automatically. Right then, just over half an hour away from our 2 kickoffs on BBC Radio Newcastle this afternoon. 2 ways to listen to them as well. Newcastle United against Brighton at St James's Park in the company of Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson. That will be on FM and on BBC Sounds this afternoon. Sunderland's game away at Wolves. Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett live from Molineux on DAB and on Freeview Channel 719, and the respective build-ups will begin properly in just a moment.
Matt Bailey at breakfast. It's absolutely beaut out there this morning, so we're doing boiling hot bingo, the things you'll definitely see around the northeast today. Cal from Burnetfield.
Obviously, all of us up here were quite fair-skinned, aren't we? And you have to see a load of people walking around absolutely pink, going, nah, it looks bad, but it'll go brown in the morning.
It's like the worst skin advice in the world, isn't it?
And I know that they're going to be the people, because I'm going to be one of them.
Have a fantastic bank holiday weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday. Matt Bailey at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle. Total Sport Northeast.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
All 3 of their corners have been from this side. They've all gone short as well. Be interesting to see what they do with this one. Odegaard's right on the corner of the 18-yard box.
Joe Willock's keeping an eye on him. Madueke.
There we go again.
And with his left foot, plays it into the box towards Havertz, who tries to get the angle for the shot, then sends it back to Eza. And that's a great strike that finds the top corner. Arsenal are set-piece specialists, but it doesn't have to be a delivery whipped into the middle. It's another clever one. And after the first couple didn't quite come off, they buried it, worked it back to Eza, who has whipped it across Nick Pope and into the top of the net. Arsenal 1, Newcastle United 0.
Haven't learned from the first 2 corner kicks. I said, you've got to stop that short corner. He just walks onto it again. They miss him out. It's poor defenders. Didn't learn from the first 2. who will pay the penalty in the tournament. No, I mean, to be fair, it's a good strike, but you've got to stop it.
Well, there were warnings before Eberechi Eze swept in the only goal at the Emirates Stadium. An improved Newcastle performance could have seen them take something, but 4 defeats in a row increases the pressure to get a result against Brighton today.
Yeah, we need a win. We need positivity that winning brings. We need to keep the level of performance where it was against Arsenal. I thought the team looked good, it looked confident, it defended well. I think it was a big upturn, the consistency in that. Now we need to back that up at home. Our home form's not been strong enough, so a lot riding on this weekend for us.
And 10 of the 11 that started last Saturday start again here at St James's, with the only change coming in midfield, where Joelinton, after a 2-match suspension for accumulating 10 Premier League yellow cards, is restored to the team in place of Jacob Ramsey. Anthony Gordon is back as a substitute today after a 2-match absence because of a hip injury. It means that Dan Burn continues at left back ahead of Lewis Hall, and Jacob Murphy will play again on the right-hand side of the attack, a couple of positions that perhaps it was felt might see changes in personnel for today's game, but not. Only Joelinton for Ramsey. So Eddie Howe's 11 is Pope in goal, Miley, who celebrated turning 20 yesterday, Lewis Miley, Chow, Botman and Byrne, Bruno, Tonali, Joelinton, Murphy, Willock and Osula. The substitutes: Ramsdale, Trippier, Hall, Wissa, Gordon, Barnes, Elanga, Voltamada and Ramsey. That's the Newcastle United 11 up against Brighton and Hove Albion. 8 points between the teams. Brighton in 6th, Newcastle kicking off in 15th, dropping a place thanks to Leeds winning last night. They have switched positions, Leeds and Newcastle. So the table, which didn't make great reading, looks even worse following last night's results. But Brighton in the European picture very definitely. Bart Verbruggen in goal, Mats Vifa, Jan-Paul van Hecke, Olivier Boscagli and Ferdi Kadioglu is the back 4. Pascal Gross, who rejoined the club from Dortmund after an 18-month spell back in Germany in January. He's in the middle alongside Carlos Baliba. Yankuba Minte on the right, Karo Mitoma on the left. Jack Hinchelwood expected to be slightly more advanced through the middle, but just behind Danny Welbeck, who always seems to score against Newcastle. He comes in the only Brighton change in place of Jorginho Rutter, who is on the bench alongside goalkeeper Jason Steele, Igor Julio, Lewis Dunk, Charalampos Kostulas, Yasin Ayari, Maxime De Kuyper, Matt O'Reilly and Joel Veltman. Those are the 2 teams at St James's Park on a glorious summer's afternoon. Sun is shining, warm temperatures. Newcastle Ando really need a win. It's a perfect day to win, but there is some surprise at the 11 that has been selected, and maybe those who thought before the game, who were feeling confident, are perhaps not quite as confident having seen the team.
Yeah, you know, we've said on here, trying to second guess Eddie Howe is a difficult thing to do. You look at what's on the bench, the front 3. I'm surprised he went with that, but you know, he sees them week in, day in, day out at the training ground, and he obviously feels that they're the best to do the job that he wants today. Dan Burn at left back, for me, is a real strange one, especially at home. Maybe you could understand away from home, but at home, where you're going to have more of the ball, expect to have more of the ball. Lewis Hall likes to get forward, likes to join in, can make things happen. I find that a real strange one, and I have to say I feel for Jacob Ramsey as well, because I don't think Ramsey's done an awful lot wrong. I think he was decent at Arsenal last week, but I suppose the one thing you would say is he's gone with his tried and trusted, you know, those players that he's got 100% belief and faith in. Your Joelintons, your Tonalis, your Guimaraes, your Dan Burns. your Joe Willocks, your Jacob Murphys, these are players that have been around the football club a long time. These are the players he knows and trusts, and he's gone with them. Interesting side, I think there will be eyebrows raised at it, especially when you see what's on the bench. Obviously Lewis Hall, you've got Gordon, Wissa, Alanga, Barnes, Voldemar and Ramsey, because when there's more on the bench.
Well, it's good that they've got a strong list of replacements, potential replacements, but when we talked about the team during the week, wondered what it would be. Certainly the front three, we weren't sure, because it could have been any combination of those players. With Gordon, we expected to be available, and he's a sub today. Osula, maybe it would have been a bit harsh to leave him out, because he's had a good couple of weeks and scored 2 goals in his last 3. But then you think about Voltemada and Wissa, who almost combined brilliantly last week. Okay, it didn't come off, but there is still a desire to see the two of them together, and there are a lot of supporters, particularly on social media, who are really behind Voltemada and want him back in the team up front as the centre forward, not necessarily supporting Wissa, and not in midfield either. And you've got Barnes there, who's got 14 goals this season, so he's got all of his options available. And with all those players available, probably the last combination that you would choose would be Murphy, Willock and Osula. But I thought Willock showed typically Joe Willock good energy, good legs, got them up the pitch at times last week. But obviously Murphy's coming for criticism after a tough couple of games. It's the front three as well as left back, isn't it, that I think is the I think the surprise.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think eyes will be raised at the three that's up front. I think eyes will be raised that Lewis Hall isn't in the side. You just wonder what's going on with Lewis Hall. Has he had a falling out? Has something gone on? And you sort of got a hint that Dan Bourne was going to play today from Eddie Howe's press conference yesterday. He said he thought defensively we were sound. And you think, well, if that's the case, he's not going to make a change. He's going to stay with what he had at Arsenal last week. But it's an interesting team. Only the one change from the defeat at Arsenal. Won't be easy though. It won't be easy. But he's picked the team that he thinks is best prepared and more capable of getting the result. And as you say, he's got big reinforcements on the bench. You look at that bench, and there's a lot of big hitters on there, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of big names that, as we've just been discussing, you might expect to see start the match. But it's Joe Linton for Ramsey in Newcastle's only change as the warm-ups continue. United at the Gallagher end to our right hand side. Visitors Brighton, who are going to be in yellow today, at the Leazes end away to our left. Brighton are a good team, and they've been competitive throughout their time in the Premier League. They're looking to get into Europe for the second time in 3 years, and only the second time in their history. They've had an interesting run, because I think they were 4th or 5th at one point, then they had a real drop and went down to 14th mid-January to mid-February, where they didn't win in 6, had one win in 13, but they've recovered and they've risen up to 6th in the table. Only one defeat in their last 7, so it's like they're a bit streaky, aren't they, with good form, bad form, and at the minute they're in very good form. And Newcastle United against Brighton, doesn't matter who the manager is in the Premier League, they always seem to struggle to play well, to find a way against Brighton. I looked at the Premier League history. This is the 18th meeting in the Premier League. Newcastle have won 2 of the previous 17. So that tells you that even though players change, managers change, tactics will change, every match can be different, they still struggle. They still find it really hard.
Yeah, look, they're a good football inside Brighton. they're on a decent run as well. You know, we spoke to Johnny Cantor last night, who commentates on Brighton, and he was saying not too long ago, you know, they wanted Hurtzler out. Supporters weren't happy with him. Now they're singing his name, and they're on the verge of European competition again. But it just shows you how quickly things can change. You know, there's no point in concentrating on them. We've got to concentrate on ourselves. We need to start winning football matches. We haven't won enough games in the Premier League. There's no doubt about that. Performances in the Premier, and it's not just since the international break. You know, throughout the season we've been very stop-start. We've been very hit and miss, and we've never been able to put a run together where you've gone to give us a little bit of momentum. We've never been able to get that momentum in the league. We've only got 2 games left here at St James's. You know, we've got this one against the side who's going for Europe. Next week we've got the Forest, who still need points to get away from, and they're on an unbelievable run as well, by the way. And then
they might be in a European final.
And then you've got West Ham coming here, who are fighting for their lives as well. So,
and on the final day, you could be playing a Fulham team that
could be trying
to get into Europe.
Yeah,
also.
So you know, we're playing against sides that have all got something to play for. It's not as if you can go, one or two of these sides will be on the beach, it's going to be okay. They've all got something to play for.
And Newcastle United have plenty to play for as well. I mentioned dropping down to 15th, which it does not read well, does it? They're not mathematically safe, but they can still get into Europe, although it's very unlikely, certainly to finish 6th, but depending on where the European places go, and which competitions are available, there is still a chance, but they would have to win 4 out of 4. But the first thing, because with Spurs picking up a win last weekend, West Ham got a huge win, Forest and Leeds have obviously, Leeds now above them, having played a game more. You mentioned their good form as well. Teams below them are picking up points, so the gap has narrowed a little bit. They just need, well, they need a win for lots of reasons, but one of them is to just allay any fears that they could be dragged even further down or caught by anybody else.
Look, I don't think they will be. I think they'll be okay. But you're right, they need a win just to make sure that that doesn't happen. That isn't the case. That all of a sudden you don't want it to get too nervy. You don't want to be really looking over your shoulder, thinking we need a win. The problem we've got, Razor, is that, and I've said it for a while, that at one end we don't look like scoring goals. At the other end we don't look capable of keeping clean sheets either. So if you match the two of them up, it doesn't make for good read, you know, because obviously we've gone from a side that were really difficult to beat, that were really miserly defensive wise, that didn't give a great deal away, and now we're giving goals away left, right and centre. Then at the other end we're not scoring enough goals. So hopefully today, it's a real strange feeling around St James's today as well. You know, it's very flat. It was very flat outside earlier on. You know, it's a lovely day as well, but I think people now just don't know what to expect. You know, they're coming here not really sure what type of performance to expect, what's going to happen. Hopefully we'll get a nice surprise.
Hopefully. Commentary from 3 o'clock here on BBC Radio Newcastle on FM. We're also on the BBC Sounds app today. If you're going to be out and about or even travelling away from the northeast, then make sure you've got the free BBC Sounds app and get BBC Radio Newcastle, search along the stations list at the top, and you can listen to our black and white coverage and commentary on BBC Sounds today. We also have commentary on Sunderland's game away to Wolves, which is also a 3 o'clock kickoff, and on the radio we split our frequencies where Newcastle and Sunderland kick off at the same time. So that means FM on BBC Radio Newcastle for this match from St James's, but on DAB and Freeview Channel 711, Sunderland away to Wolves with Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett, and there'll be a phone-in at full-time between 5 and 6, where we'll also bring you some dressing room reaction from both matches. And another reminder that playing later today in the National League North playoff semi-final, South Shields, who finished second, just missed out on the title. They are at home to Buxton at 4 o'clock, and we will have updates from that match from 4, and then plenty in the hour between 5 and 6 when that big playoff tie will be reaching its conclusion. Earlier, Kidderminster beat Macclesfield 3-1, so it would be Kidderminster for Shields, but it would be at home for South Shields in the final if they were to win today. Speaking of things that have already been decided and concluded, well, in the Championship, Ipswich got second place, and they have secured an immediate and automatic return to the Premier League after they were relegated at St James's Park last year. So Ipswich go up alongside the Championship winners Coventry. Ipswich beat QPR 3-0 today. Coventry won 4-0 at Watford to just finish their season in some style. Millwall missed out by a point on automatic promotion, despite winning their match against Oxford at home by 2-0. Southampton are 4th in the Championship table after a win 3-1 at Preston. Middlesbrough, who could have been automatically promoted if they'd won and other results went their way, they finished 5th after a 2-2 draw with Wrexham, and that result cost Wrexham a place in the playoffs. Wrexham would have finished 6th if they'd won, but they ended up in 7th, missing out by 2 points, and the final playoff spot went to Hull, who were 2-1 winners over Norwich. Earlier in the day, Derby County were in 6th, but it changed across the course of the afternoon. So Ipswich up, Ando, which will be a long trip, but always the Sir Bobby Robson link, and a good club, well supported. Nice to see them. Bag's got a mid-90s feel and early 2000s feel to it, Coventry and Ipswich. I'd like Millwall to come up, because it would be different, and it would be very different. It would be a trip, wouldn't it? It would be an adventure. Southampton probably the form team, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're on a hell of a run. They seem to be the one going into these playoffs with a little bit of momentum. But as we've seen in the past, and as we know, anything can happen in these playoffs. You know, it doesn't guarantee that the side that finishes third is going to make it. Yeah. There's an awful lot of the times it doesn't work out that way. So,
Championship playoffs, Millwall against Hull and Southampton against Middlesbrough, two-legged ties for the final spot in the Premier League. Also playing today at 3 o'clock, Brentford against West Ham. West Ham are 6 points behind Newcastle as it stands. Sunderland away to Wolves, DAB and Freeview Channel 711 for the red and white commentary from BBC Radio Newcastle. And then at tea time, it's Arsenal against Fulham, and Arsenal could open up a lead of 6 points at the top over Manchester City, who would have 2 games in hand. One change made by Eddie Howe for this one against Brighton. Joelinton replaces Ramsey in midfield, and they've got Gordon back on the bench after injury. So it's Pope, Miley, Chow, Botman, Byrne, Bruno, Tanali, Joelinton, Murphy, Willock and Osula. And Brighton, Verbruggen, Vifa, Van Hecke, Boskagli, Kadioglu, Baliba and Gross, Minte, Hinchelwood, Mitoma and Welbeck up top. After the second half against Arsenal and the changes, which saw Johan Wissa come on and almost grab an equaliser, given that he appeared to be in better physical condition, we had been wondering whether Johan Wissa would get the opportunity from the start today, or maybe whether it would be Nick Voltemade brought in at centre forward. But Wissa, like Voltemade, have to be content with a place on the bench today. It was good to see Wissa look a little bit more like the Wissa that they saw at Brentford, with movement and fitness. It's something Eddie Howe says has been improving as time has gone on, after he came back too early really following that injury he sustained shortly after joining. And although he's a substitute today, we may well see him at some point, and Eddie Howe is hoping that Yoane Wissa will finish a tough first year at Newcastle United in a positive manner.
Yeah, really disappointed for him, because he came with such passion and enthusiasm, and he knew the importance of this season, not just for the team but for him, and he was ready to deliver, you know, on the biggest stage, in the peak of his powers. And then of course the life of a footballer, he gets injured, and it's a long way back from that, and you come to a new club and you want to impress from minute one, and then add to the fact that he hadn't trained for a long period of time. It's been a real battle for him to get up to where he would normally consider himself to be, and he's been frustrated, I know, with that, and he's worked incredibly hard. We've done lots of different things to try and increase the speed of his return to full fitness, but it's only really the last couple of weeks that I think we've seen that, and he's now growing in confidence because he feels better. But of course now he's feeling a lot better within himself. It would be great to see him deliver that consistently on the pitch, but of course, you know, I've always got to do what's right for the team and pick the team that I think's best at this moment in time. But I know the very best of him is in the future, and I'm sure the supporters will see that.
It has been a hard year for Yoane Wissa. He's come in for quite a bit of criticism as well. It's certainly not the case that he doesn't care, but he's found it probably more difficult than we would have expected, even with the injury, and now he's finding it difficult to get in the team. But although he missed the chance at Arsenal, he had the good movement and the awareness to get into the position. When he comes on, he obviously has to impress now, doesn't he, in the last month of the season?
Yeah, look, it has been difficult for him, there's no doubt about it, because he's been rushed back, because we were short and we needed somebody, but we most definitely haven't seen the best of him. It's coming to the end of the season now. Are we going to see the best of him? Probably not. Probably won't see it till next season. But you know, it's been a very frustrating time for him. It's been a very frustrating time for Eddie Howe, and more importantly, very frustrating time for supporters as well, because you see somebody who scored the goals that he scored last season for Brentford, and we haven't been able to see that of him in the black and white shirt.
This is Brighton's first match for 11 days. They had a free weekend last weekend. They were due to play Chelsea, but the match was brought forward because Chelsea were involved in the FA Cup semi-finals. Brighton beat them convincingly, and then Chelsea changed their manager after that. So they've had a little bit of time off. The obvious threat, well, the wide players, Minte and Mitoma, they're a good team across the pitch, but Danny Welbeck just loves playing against Newcastle, whether it's here or whether it's on the south coast.
Yeah,
and he always seems to cause some upset, some pain to Newcastle. He's still doing it, still scoring goals, but he obviously has a thing about this fixture.
Yeah, he's forever young, isn't he, when it comes to this fixture? You know, he's been a quality player. He's had a great career. Yes, he's 35 years of age. He's in the twilight of his career, but he still knows where the back of the net is. You know, I think if I'm not wrong, this has been his best season goal scoring wise. But he's got bags of experience. His movement's good. And as you rightly say, for whatever reason, he always seems to enjoy playing against us.
14 goals in all competitions for Danny Welbeck this season. He returns to the Brighton side. It's the only change made by the manager Fabian Hürzeler, and it's in place of Jorginho Rutter, who is named among their substitutes. Well, Newcastle United can still finish anywhere from 18th to 6th, so third bottom, or where Brighton currently are, in what is usually a Europa League position. So quite a big swing there, isn't there? Possibilities, good and not so good. over the next few weeks. It will depend on other results, and the middle part of the table is still so congested above them. If they were to win today, then they would move only 2 places from 15th to 13th above Leeds and Crystal Palace, so they can't go too far with one result, but if they can put a couple of results together, then the faint hopes of Europe might still be there going into the last week or two of the season. Despite the bad run that they've been on, and despite a frustrating and inconsistent Premier League season, they can still achieve something.
I think the feeling's been good, considering, and I say that we know we haven't had the results we wanted, but the lads have been in those circumstances, I think, as good as you could expect them to be, in the sense that they're hurting, they're disappointed, they're frustrated. There's a whole host of emotions in there, but I think they've kept their professionalism, their mentality to training. I think it's been excellent. It's very competitive. You can see the players want to deliver better than they are. There's a real collective spirit and determination to put it right. The carrot is big the other way, and football we see flip from negative to positive very quickly, positive to negative very quickly. We have to make sure we flip that as quickly as possible.
The positivity that only a win can bring is something they haven't experienced and felt for a little while. The last one was at Chelsea in the middle of March. Then they lost at Barcelona, and then it's been 4 Premier League defeats in a row for Newcastle United, either side of the international break. Bruno leads them out onto the pitch. They've got cream training jackets on over their black and white striped shirts. Brighton out in their yellow away kit with a bit of navy pinstripe, but Bruggen in luminous orange. Nick Pope wearing blue today, and with several young mascots there standing beside the Newcastle players. They line up next to halfway, and now the handshakes and greetings begin. The referee that they are saying hello to is Chris Kavanagh from Lancashire. Last seen at the FA Cup tie at Villa Park in February, where there were several incorrect decisions, not all of them made by him though, but some controversy that night. And this is the first time he has refereed Newcastle since then. There was no VAR for that FA Cup tie, which would have helped him out considerably. Different assistant referees in terms of the officiating team. Dan Cook and Ian Husson. Bobby Madley is the 4th official. On VAR today, Neil Davies, assisted by Michael Salisbury. That was a crazy night, wasn't it, at Villa in the FA Cup? And I mean, it was clearly hard for the referee. They were stood down, weren't they?
I think what it showed at Villa Park was how reliant they've become on VAR. You know, referees. He was afraid to referee the game that night. You know, he kept waiting. You could see he kept waiting to hear something in his ear that wasn't forthcoming. So it just shows the impact that VAR has had on the way referee make decisions.
He could have had more help from his assistants as well, mate. But Chris Cameron, the referee, hopefully he'll have a good game. And the 2 teams that will contest this match, Brighton, but Bruggen in goal, another player that's been linked to Newcastle recently. FIFA at right back, Van Hecker, who was reportedly a Newcastle target last year before they signed Malik Chow. He's only got a year left at Brighton, could well be on the move in the summer, maybe one to keep an eye on. Boskagli and Kadioglu, Gross and Baliba, Minter, Hinchelwood, Mitoma and Welbeck up top. On the bench, Steele, Igor Julio, Dunk, Rutter, Kostulas, Ayari, Di Kuiper, O'Reilly, Matt O'Reilly, who played against Newcastle for Marseille in the Champions League on loan in November before returning to Brighton, and Veltman. And Newcastle United, who have lost the toss and are going to shoot downhill to the Gallagher end in the first half. Pope in goal, Miley, Chow, Botman, Byrne, Bruno, Tanali, Joelinton, Murphy, Willock, Osula. Substitutes Ramsdale, Trippier, Hall, Wisser, Gordon, Barnes, Elanga, Voltamada, Ramsey. Brighton are ready now, so too are Newcastle United, who break from a huddle. Sun is shining at St James's Park. It's the perfect afternoon to go and get a big result. Do you back them, John Anderson?
I'll tell you after 10 minutes. I just think it's a tough one. As I say, you're just not too sure what to expect.
I'll put you on the spot there, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well, let's see what they can produce. 10 of the 11 that started at Arsenal play today. Joelinton in the box trying to get on Burns. Knocked down, it's cleared. Joelinton is the only change for Ramsey. Newcastle think they should have a throw on the far side, but Brighton in their half of the pitch get the decision on a diagonal ball into the middle of the park, where it's rolled across midfield by Gross to Mitoma, away to the left. Kadioglu up from full back inside to Gross, 30 yards out. Brighton have brought around 1,500 fans for a long trip to the northeast. Plenty of noise from the Newcastle supporters early on. Mitoma back to Kadioglu, and it's rolled inside to goalkeeper Verbruggen, Dutch international. 23 years of age, long ball, trying to drop it in behind Miley for Mitoma. What a touch from Mitoma, and into the middle, and a big save by Nick Pope, low down with his left hand. It was Hinchelwood who made the run. First time effort, right-footed, centre of the box. Nick Pope with a big and strong early save. Now Newcastle up the left wing with Joelinton. Sliding challenge from Van Hecke, and the ball goes out.
Great ball from Verbruggen, wasn't it? Just pinged it straight over the top of Miley's head. What a take as well. Just rolled it square. It's a big save by Nick Pope early on.
That would have been the last thing that Newcastle United needed. It remains goalless here at St James's Park on BBC Radio Newcastle, the BBC Sounds app, and Newcastle United's website and app. Sven Botman, foot on the ball on halfway. Tanali inside. Botman still got it, and it's Joe Willock who comes short, gives it back to Botman. Might have to go to the goalkeeper here. He's turned and played it to Willock again. Brighton forcing Newcastle back. Botman now clips it long, straight onto the head of Van Hecke, nodded into midfield, on by Gross. Welbeck takes it down on his thigh, lays it off to Baliba, and here's Mitoma, who's come into a central position here from the left wing, and now Yankuba Minte for the first time. Joelinton gets back to double up on Minte. Back it goes, whipped in by Brighton, and they haven't managed to clear it, Newcastle. Bruno then gets a foot on the ball, stabs it outside the box and away, but Boscagli plays it into the middle again. Mitoma to Kadioglu, couple of nervy moments. The ball that was floated in, they couldn't deal with it. Brighton couldn't bring it down properly, and Bruno was at least able to get it half clear. It's Baliba now in midfield. Osula gets a boot on the ball, but it goes backwards and straight to Mitoma. Eddie Howe is quite animated on the touchline, doesn't look happy. 0-0. Mitoma laid off to Boscagli. Miley there with a header. Baliba first to the ball. Gross inside to Hinchelwood, who slips, but Mitoma's got it. Brighton seeming confident, and already some frustration we can hear in the stands at St James's Park in the 4th minute. Minte from halfway, back to Van Hecke, and whipped across to Boscagli, the French defender signed from PSV last summer. Here's Mitoma, he's seen loads of the ball so far, to Kadioglu, and Boscagli. Murphy slides in, puts it out on halfway.
Can't get it, can we? It started Brighton.
Brighton being Brighton.
Yeah, neat and tidy on the ball, aren't they? Little triangles.
Verbruggen is outside his penalty area. Osula is the closest in black and white but it's lifted clear by the goalkeeper. Miley's header, Joe Linton tries to win it. Brighton on halfway. Mats Vifa, the right full-back, but it's come out of play on this near side. Miley with a throw towards Bruno, on the chest from the captain. It's been pushed over by Gross. They got a free kick. Bruno pings it. Joe Linton makes the run. It's too straight and runs through to Verbruggen, but worth a try. Verbruggen had the ball on the floor, then picked it up when Osula came sprinting in. Eddie Howe applauding Osula for the pressing. It goes out to Boscagli and then back to Verbruggen. Aiming it long towards Minter. Dan Burn, big header on the ball and away, and put out by Van Hecker. 0-0. And if you are looking for Wolves against Sunderland, you'll find the red and white commentary from Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett on DAB and Freeview Channel 711. Long ball from Nick Pope, out of play in the Brighton half.
Yeah, settled down a little bit, hasn't it?
Vifa takes it, gets it back, gives it to the goalkeeper. And Verbruggen to Gross, who is on the edge of his penalty area. So is his other central midfielder, Baliba. Gross towards Welbeck. Good first touch. Lays it off to Mitoma. Now on to Hinshelwood, looking for Gross first time, but he's overplayed the pass. Newcastle throw. Miley, long ball, Osula lets it bounce, tries to get the better of his man. He's just about got control of it and has got away with a good trick. Osula into the box when Baliba gets across to him and makes a fair challenge. He didn't look favourite there, William Osula, but he won the ball, kept it in, dragged it back with his studs, and then got on the end of that touch by wriggling free. Exciting play from Osula. Didn't lead to anything, but he broke away well. It's in midfield now with Brighton. Joe Linton making a challenge on Baliba. The ball goes back to Boscagli, and that's a nice ping, isn't it, to Mitoma. Good first touch. To Minte. Ball on the floor. Minte deflected cross. Corner kick.
Yeah, good take, wasn't it? Osula. Great little touch. Good defending as well. Good tackle. Looked like he was going to get away.
No goals yet at St James's in the 8th minute. And Yankuba Minte, he's only got 2 goals this season. Puts the ball down next to the corner flag, left-footed from the right. Nobody on either post. Osula stayed up on halfway. Willock is outside the penalty area, but is making his way back to the box as Minte sends it in. Bruno header up. Tanali challenges for it with Mitoma. It's another brilliant first touch from Mitoma, and they've set up a chance for Baliba to the top of the bar. Mitoma with sublime first touch, and then inside to Baliba. He hit it with plenty of power and height, but it was dipping, and it clipped the top of the crossbar and went behind.
Great effort, wasn't it? Got it out of his feet early, didn't get closed down. Nick Pope's getting nowhere near that.
A bit like Eza last week, but a bit further out, where it was played back and then no pressure on the ball. Still 0-0. Brighton with a big chance there, and a one earlier on that Nick Pope had to get down well to save from Hinshelwood. They've had the big moments in the match so far. Long deflected ball into the box. Pope comes to the edge of the area to gather. Throws it out to Tanali. You can feel that there's a lot of fans are restless, aren't they? Because it hasn't settled into a Newcastle United pattern or had any kind of flow in that respect. Brighton, we know what they're like, and they're characteristically good on the ball, moving it well and with confidence. And obviously that adds to frustration and anxiety, doesn't it?
Does, yeah. You can feel the tension inside the stadium, can't you? You can feel the nerves. That happens when results aren't going your way, when you're not playing particularly well.
Brighton with a throw on halfway, far side. Back it goes to Van Hecker. And Verbruggen, 5 yards outside the area. Left-footed dink onto Mitoma. Ball's gone out. It's a United throw next to the Brighton bench, just behind halfway. Murphy up the line for Osula, tries to spin away from Buscaglia, and he has. Osula now into the area, goes for the bottom corner. Osula, it was reminiscent of the type of finish he produced against Manchester United when he cut in from the right and whipped it, but this time it didn't bend back in and it went a yard or so wide of Verbruggen's right hand post, but a good effort from Osula.
Yeah, yet again he's got the strength and the pace to get past the defender. Once he cut inside, you always knew what he was going to do. Similar to the Manchester United goal, unfortunately this time didn't get enough bend on it.
Remember when that goal was scored, they said he'd been working on that exact attack and that finish in training in the day before the game, and did it 10 times and scored 8 out of 10, and it's obviously something that he's confident in doing. It very nearly came off again. It would have been remarkably similar to that goal, as United now make a good move through midfield. It's come to Bruno, and they might get Murphy in here on the right. Bruno's past Murphy. Verbruggen out of the box has taken Murphy down. Play goes on. Murphy's cross headed in by William Osula. Jacob Murphy kept going after being bundled over by the goalkeeper outside of the area with the goal completely free, but Murphy got up, didn't give it up, and lifted a ball into the middle, and Osula climbed to nod in his 7th goal of the season, and that is very much what they needed. 12 minutes on the clock at St James's Park. Newcastle United 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 0.
Well, it's the switch of play. Murphy gets in on this right side, keeper comes, he's getting absolute, and he just loses his foot in the keeper. Great ball in, free header, not going to miss with no goalkeeper in.
Well done Murphy as well in the way that he created the goal. Did everything right. A player whose selection was questioned, something we talked about in the build-up about Eddie Howe's options for the front three. Well, 2 of them there have combined for the opening goal at St James's Park. Brighton had hit the bar, they'd had an effort saved in the first couple of minutes, but Newcastle United have the goal and they are in front, and it's Osula again, and justifying his inclusion again, having had one decent run and then one effort just wide. And if he keeps doing this, then he'll keep getting selected ahead of more expensive options. Here he is with a foul on the edge of the area. Newcastle think it's a bit soft, but if he's in the team and he's scoring goals, he isn't going to come out of it.
No, if he keeps doing that, keeps putting the ball in the back of the net, that's why he's in the team.
They lead 1-0 here on BBC Radio Newcastle and the BBC Sounds app. Brighton have another player down, injured potentially, and it looks like it's Mats Vifa, who went off injured in their last match, the win over Chelsea, and has been carrying an ankle problem, managing an ankle problem. He's limping, he's holding, I think he's holding his ankle.
He doesn't look great, does he?
He's pulling his socks up on both legs. He can barely move, and they've kicked off again. They have sent a couple of subs out to warm up Brighton. Ball is with Baliba in midfield. Osula trips him, but stops the Brighton attack. FIFA, look at him. He's dragging his leg. How's he supposed to sprint if he can barely walk?
Well, we'll find out in a minute if the ball comes to him.
Hobbling around. 1-0 United. Mitoma drags it back. Murphy slid in and missed him. Switch to Minte. Yankuba Minte taking on Dan Byrne and Joe Willock. Rolls the ball back. It's Vifa. He's played the pass. It's made the situation even worse. Boscagli to Mitoma. Turned Miley, but a good recovery by Lewis Miley to get a challenge in. And Karu Mitoma 30 yards out, back to centre half Boscagli, over to Van Hecke, rolled up the line to the feet of Yankuba Minte. Byrne and Joe Linton are there. A clear and deliberate effort to double up on him when they can defensively. Vifa is still there, still not moving properly. It's up that side of the pitch and it's Minte. Vifa is available if he rolls it back. Minte on his left, right corner of the area, flashes over the cross, caught by Nick Pope.
Yeah, poor ball, too close to the goalkeeper.
Now they are from the bench and from the stands wanting Newcastle to get on with it quickly, but Pope didn't feel he had anything on. Joe Linton there, tackled by Minte, and the throw's gone the way of Brighton as it rolls over the line on the far side, just out of play. Mats Vifa's gone down and looks like he's punched the floor in frustration. Brighton and Hove Albion will have to make a change almost certainly, because it doesn't look like he can continue. 16 minutes on the clock. How much of a lift should the goal give them? And
goals always help. You know, first goals in games are important as well. But Newcastle, you'd like to see a second one though.
Yeah, they have that lead through William Osula's goal. 0-0 between Sunderland and Wolves at Molineux. If you want the BBC Radio Newcastle red and white commentary, we've split our frequencies. Sunderland on DAB at Freeview Channel 711 here at St James's Park, or on BBC Sounds and FM on BBC Radio Newcastle. And there's a goal for Brentford, leading 1-0 against West Ham. The fullback Michael Coyote has scored. Good player, Coyote. And now we've just been told Sunderland have scored at Wolves. Nordi Mukiele, another good player. Two right fullbacks there who've had strong seasons. They've scored. William Osula with Newcastle's goal, and the Brighton change, which they are preparing to make now, will see Joel Veltman come on, the Dutch international defender, for his compatriot Mats Vifa, carrying an injury and has lasted 17 minutes.
Number 27, Mats Vifa, to be replaced by number 34, Joel Veltman.
When the match restarts, it will be from a Brighton throw, which has been taken on the far side, and Van Hecke with a pass development, had a couple of early touches, and now a ball back to the goalkeeper at the Gallagher end. I want you to keep an eye on both Verbruggen and Van Hecke, given the speculation about their futures and links to Newcastle. Long ball forwards from Verbruggen. His distribution seems pretty good with his foot.
He seems happy enough with the ball at his feet, doesn't he?
Yeah, there was a pass to the edge of the area that almost got Hinchelwood in, but Tonali got back to defend it. And now Newcastle a little bit loose with the passing into midfield. Botman almost got dispossessed. Then Bruno got onto the ball, lifted it up and got tripped. And the whistle has gone for a free kick, which they'll be pleased to have.
Yeah, Botman got away with it, didn't he? Let it run. Hinchelwood seen the big frame of him coming and didn't really fancy it.
In the Women's Super League 2, Newcastle United women playing against Durham in a North East derby, final day of the season. It's goalless in that game at Gateshead Stadium. And a reminder, Ipswich have won automatic promotion back to the Premier League from the Championship. Hull took the final playoff spot alongside Millwall, who were third, and Southampton, who will play Middlesbrough in the playoff semi-finals. Brighton winning a free kick. Skagli tripped by Osula near to the centre circle. Hall and Barnes sent out to warm up by Eddie Howe. Newcastle lead 1-0. There's a real threat from Brighton, particularly down the sides. Toma, especially on this near left side, he's got the ball again. But after a strong start by the away team, Ando, it does seem to have settled down a bit, and obviously Newcastle's goal helps.
Yeah, the game has settled down. It's pretty even now. Brighton started brightly, hit the bar. Pope's made the save. But it's pretty even at the minute.
Long ball there by Verbruggen. Byrne wanted to let it run. Minte kept it in with a header, and then Byrne goes shoulder to shoulder with him, but the last touch was off the big man, and it's a Brighton corner. Had a bit of trouble with Yankuba Minte there. Just before the corner, while we talked about Verbruggen seeming happy with his distribution with the ball at his feet, he did get caught and done for the goal when he came flying out of the box.
Yeah, he lost his footing, didn't he?
Here's the corner. Minte takes it short, then delivers a ball to the back post, and Nick Pope punches it out. Brighton are staying up. Is this a corner or a throw?
Corner.
It's another corner, but it's on the near side, so Pascal Gross is going to take it. Again, no one on either post. Brighton got a couple of players making late runs into the box. Chris Kavanagh, the referee, has spotted something he doesn't like, so that has been halted because he's now in the middle of a group of players. There's an argument. Joe Linton is involved, which may not surprise you. Referee's whistle goes again. Has it just shown a yellow card?
Well, he's shown a card to somebody.
Looks like it's Van Hecker because he's got his arms outstretched.
Or is it Joe Linton?
Well, Brighton seem to be unhappy about the issuing of a card. We will have to get that checked and confirmed.
How can you show a card when the ball's not in play?
You can do that, but you just can't give a penalty if there was anything dodgy or worthy of that. Anyway, here's the corner. Gross sends it in, and it's caught by Pope at the near post, and he kicks quickly. It's not a bad one. Osula has let it run. Now can Willock run onto it? All great pace from Joe Willock into the area. What a run from Willock, and the cross deflected behind from one end of the pitch to the other in a flash, and a corner kick for Newcastle United.
Well, that's why those pacey players are in there, isn't it?
Osula let it go. Willock came from a long way back as well. Defender had a head start.
Showed his pace.
Corner on the left. Newcastle United looking to double their lead midway through the first half. Osula, Chow, Botman, Miley at the back post. Byrne makes a move into the middle. Bruno clips it in. Verbruggen, who's played it off the back of a teammate and behind for another corner.
Yeah, it wasn't a convincing punch, was it? Came over the top of a lot of bodies. It was a flat punch, knocked it down. Hit somebody in yellow. Danny Welbeck, I think, gone behind another corner kick.
Same side. Newcastle's left. Osula has them in a 1-0 lead. Bruno with another chance to put a ball in. Players run to the front post. Bruno with the delivery. Dan Byrne! And the big man runs straight over to the skipper to celebrate. And now everybody huddles together in the corner. Huge satisfaction at that goal. Big Dan Byrne against his old club, and a second for Newcastle United on a huge afternoon at St James's Park. Not just the joy of scoring, but the relief of getting a second goal, and a set piece whipped in by Bruno and headed in by Byrne near post 6 yards out. Newcastle United 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0.
Great movement, starts back post, loses his marker, heads for the centre spot, penalty spot, great header. A lot of power in it as well. Keeper's got no chance. Past the keeper before he even moves. Gives a bit of breathing space.
Well, they could have been 2-0 down and now they're 2-0 up. And absolutely what was required, but still a long way to go and still a job to be done. Chow with a clearance, it's gone out. It's a Brighton throw on the left wing. Jacob Murphy accused of delaying the restart and told by the referee,
no more.
Yeah, no more of that. Murphy's got the disc, that the orange disc that the ball was on, wrapped around his leg. He put his boot through it. Now he's put it on his head. Some daft antics from Jacob Murphy. I mean, that is delaying the restart, isn't it? Because of course he knew it was there. Does like to have a smile and a lighter moment when he can, Jacob Murphy, but winning in the Premier League is a serious business and they've not done it for so long. They've got to stay focused. Tanali and Botman, but the ball's been given away. Mitoma's cross from the left to the back post. It's such a dangerous area. Bounced just next to the post, very close to goal. It's gone behind, fortunately. Veltman was booked, by the way, not Van Hecker. Thank you to Colin White in the studio, who has been checking the statistics for us for Brighton with that yellow card. More information from the other Premier League matches. There has been an equaliser for West Ham, but it appears to have been ruled out. Not sure why. And also news from Molineux. Wolves 0, Sunderland 1, but Sunderland down to 10 men. Dan Ballard sent off for pulling the hair of Tolu Arukadare, the Wolves forward. Brighton up the left wing, Chow back to Pope. Oh no, Nick Pope has against the attacker Hinshelwood, and the clearance hit Hinshelwood and rebounded off the post.
When you know it's going to be your day.
It's gone out on the far side for a throw. Nick Pope and Newcastle United got very lucky there. Now Brighton through Minte, wanting a free kick, nothing given. Bruno on towards Osula, but one back by Boscagli. Blimey.
Oh, when you know it's going to be your day.
Newcastle United 2, Brighton 0. Should have been 2-1. Pope against Hinshelwood and off the post. He was wide of his goal, Nick Pope, on this near side. Now Murphy with a challenge on Mitoma, and it's a goal kick. It's been a period of bad results and disappointing performances, and you could also say things haven't gone their way, just in a general sense. But specifically there, that went for them, and Nick Pope will be the most relieved man in town.
Just a little bit. Got away with one big style.
William Osula with a header and Dan Byrne with a header. The two Newcastle United goals. And big Dan Byrne here scoring. Big Dan Ballard sent off for Sunderland, who lead 1-0 at Wolves. Commentary on DAB and Freeview Channel 711 on that game. Minte twisting and turning, scooping up across. Miley from right back, heads clear. Osula then tries to run, let it go beyond Boscagli, then a big header on through midfield, and Willock's got it, and he's played in Osula, edge of the area. Here's William Osula, flicks it, Joe Willock near post, chips it up, and Verbruggen with a one-handed save to stop the ball creeping in. Brighton are not enjoying playing against William Osula, Boscagli in particular, when it's over the top or in behind. He can't live with Osula, and that was almost a third Newcastle United goal inside half an hour. Minte Challenge won by Botman. Tanali then gets the ball back properly and wins a free kick with a foul from Welbeck, who goes chasing after the referee to give him a piece of his mind.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Weather's good. Sun is shining. Newcastle United are winning 2-0. Had some bad moments at the back, but they've put the ball in the net twice, and here Jacob Murphy's got the better of Kadioglu, who has tripped him, caught him on the left ankle. Ball almost went out, but Murphy kept it in right on the line next to the assistant referee and got away from Kadioglu, who then sent him tumbling. Now Fabian Hurtzler, the Brighton manager, is really losing his temper with the fourth official, Bobby Madley. They've actually just shaken hands. I'm not sure what he's complaining about there. Maybe it was an earlier, possibly Welbeck on Tanali, but that seemed like a foul. Bruno on the right, 30 yards out. Could he create another goal? He's played it square to Miley, and he lifts it in, and Botman is there with a header, and it's saved by the legs of the goalkeeper, and they've still got the chance. Brighton can't clear, and then volleyed over the top by Botman in the end.
Free kick
on the follow-up. Oh, you had Chow, Willock, Osula all in there. Well, they should have had another goal. Botman back in, and it was Chow straight at the keeper, and Willock then trying to follow up with an effort that was blocked as well before Botman put it over. Joe Willock appears to be hurt. Bruno is tying his bootlace on his left boot. The physios come on to give some treatment to Joe Willock. I'm not sure where the problem is. It is his hand.
Looks like it. Looks like his right hand, doesn't it? Right wrist.
Some activity on the bench.
Might have done a finger. Might have dislocated a finger.
Some activity on the bench. Gordon and Trippier warm up. Barnes was in the technical area. They've just had Osula and Wissa warming up as well. Newcastle with 10 men on the pitch at the moment as the match restarts. Joe Willock has got his left wrists strapped. He's got a problem with his right hand. The fourth official's gone along the touchline to take a check on things. Miley there with two bits of defending, then a ball up the line which Kadioglu intercepts. The Turkish international plays it inside, but Newcastle get it back. Here's Murphy, goes up the line. Referee put his whistle. He put his whistle to his lips and then didn't blow. Brighton play on, and Baliba across to Veltman. Joe Willock is now next to the bench. The doctor has come off his seat. They're strapping up his right wrist, possibly most of the hand as well. Still with Brighton in Newcastle territory, 33 minutes played. Pascal Gross to Karu Mitoma inside Kadioglu. Thought about a cross with his right, decided against it, rolled it inside to Boscagli. Now Baliba back to Boscagli. Newcastle want Willock back on. Referee hasn't seen it. Now he waves him on. Van Hecker into the middle, chested down there by Gross and stabbed behind by Chow for a corner. 11v11 again. Willock is on the pitch and they've strapped up his right wrist and part of his hand. Newcastle United lead 2-0. Looking for only a third Premier League win over Brighton. The other two were both here at St James's Park. And they've had the chances to increase their advantage as well. But here are Brighton with the corner deep to the back of the 6-yard box, headed across by Van Hecker. Murphy out, Willock with a flick, Osula trying to hold it up. He's ended up sending Baliba to the floor. Newcastle then get it back. Here's Tanali onto Bruno. Out to Murphy, takes the touch up the line for Miley. Possibilities here. Willock looks offside, flag stays down, goalkeeper comes out, offside. And now the flag goes offside.
Up. Yeah, he looked looked offside, didn't he?
They went through the middle at an angle to Willock when they had Osula out wide, but the pace, the running, the movement of those two have made this afternoon
Not
so
too sure
far
he was offside.
rather uncomfortable for Brighton and their central defenders, Van Hecke and Boscagli. You can see why Eddie Howe has gone with those two, and at times, Ando, it's almost like they're playing a 4-4-2 with Willock next to Osula and Joelinton and Murphy in the wide positions. From an attacking point of view, it's worked well today, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. Brighton playing a high line, they're leaving space in behind. And the pace that Osula and Willock have got, they've got in quite a few times.
BBC Radio Newcastle and the BBC Sounds app. Oh, that's late from Bruno on Van Hecke, who has rolled around quite a bit. And no card, but a free kick about 30 yards out, maybe 10 yards in from the touchline. Referee just having a word with Bruno, but no further action in terms of a punishment. And Gross, who takes quality set pieces, runs over the ball and leaves it for Boscagli, who then plays it inside to Gross, who gives it back to Boscagli, who has a touch, clips it in, headed over the top. Danny Welbeck in a good position, free header.
Yeah, just couldn't keep it down. Floats over the top of the crossbar.
We know the owners, or a delegation from majority owners from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, were here for meetings this week. There is a PIF presence at St James's Park. We're told that the chairman, Yasser Al Rumayyan, the governor of Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, is here, as is Jacobo Solis, one of the directors, and another important figure at PIF. Co-owner Jamie Rubin, a regular at St James's Park, is also in attendance, we are informed. Watching on as Newcastle United lead 2-0, but Brighton attack. Kadioglu, deflected cross, caught by Nick Pope, low down by the near post. Still thinking about that clearance that hit Hinchelwood and hit the post.
I know.
Similar to the one, it was Havertz, wasn't it, for Arsenal at Man City?
Yeah.
Where that one went in, but Newcastle okay this time. Osula played in behind. Oh, he's kept the flag down. Osula in the box, one-on-one. It's saved by...
Now he's offside. Told you he was offside.
And now the late flag. Brighton don't like it. Fabian Hertzler is flinging his arms around. You can understand, he was a mile off. But the assistant's told to keep the flag down and let it play out.
Until
let it go to VAR.
There's 3 more movements.
Referee Chris Kavanagh just played on. It's not the officials as individuals, it's the rules that they have to implement there that attract the criticism, although the referee and his team will obviously get it in the neck for following the rules. Willock doing well to win it back. Tonali onto Bruno. Ball juggling from Bruno through midfield, and he's pulled back, and that might be a card for Brighton. Now it was Mitoma. Baliba looked like he had a bit of a go, but Mitoma had the tug, the pull at Bruno. And Brighton's coaching staff are again at the 4th official. I don't know what they're complaining about with that one. I mean, it's a clear pull.
They're pointing out 1, 2. Murphy, many
Osula had a few, yeah. It's a free kick just behind the centre spot in the 39th minute. Dan Burn tries to lift it up the line. It's gone out off a Brighton boot. Hang on. The assistant pointed the flag in the direction of the Brighton goal, but the referee pointed the other way.
Referee's decision's final.
Yeah. Throw taken by Veltman, who came on for the injured Vifa. Newcastle win it back in midfield. Joelinton to Bruno. Heavy second touch and then put out of play. And sarcastic applause and cheers because Newcastle are about to take the throw that they've been awarded by assistant Ian Hussin on the far side. Burn into Joelinton, holding off an opponent in yellow. Back to Chow. He's overhit the pass towards Miley, who can't keep it in. No blame attached to Miley there. Mitoma with a throw back to Karagioglu and Boscagli, keeping the captain Lewis Dunk out of the team at the moment. Olivier Boscagli. Karagioglu, Murphy with him. Back to Boscagli, close to the Brighton box, inside to Verbruggen. And there's a long ball through the middle, harmless. Nick Pope's got it, takes a touch on his thigh and gets the ball down on the floor. 2-0 to Newcastle United.
It's been a good game. Yeah, it's been entertaining.
And yet it hasn't been without mistakes and errors and jeopardy, with Brighton hitting the bar, hitting the post from the Pope clearance onto Hinshelwood, who had an earlier effort well saved by Nick Pope. Crucial save very early on. They've just put the ball out of play there, Newcastle, when trying to go forwards. But the attacking game's been really good. And I agree with it. It's nice to enjoy it, isn't it? Obviously the scoreline helps, but to enjoy a performance and a competitive match. Murphy to Tanali. Now Chow inside to Botman. Bit of space. Comes forwards with a first touch. On to Joelinton. Now Miley. Back to Joelinton. On to Bruno first time. Now they can create. Bruno with a clip. Osula's after that. Van Hecker's there. Takes a touch and brings it down in the D, Van Hecker, and did so with quite impressive level of calm given the chaos around him. And the visitors, Brighton, the Seagulls, are now in Newcastle's half. Gross to Baliba, still being linked to Manchester United. Carlos Baliba, big target for them.
Strong
last
player,
summer. Ball from Karagioglu, chested down by Botman, edge of the area. Bruno tried to get away from the challenge of Welbeck, who's won the ball back, and Welbeck into the area, stabs it towards goal where it's blocked. Tanali with a half a clearance. Veltman and Minte on the outside. Still Minte, tackled by Tanali. He's pulled him down. Minte, free kick awarded to United in their penalty area on the left.
Yeah, always wants to get it on that left foot, doesn't he? He got away from Bourne, but he won't play it with his right. Wants to check back. Just ran straight into Tanali.
BBC Radio Newcastle and the BBC Sounds app, with Sunderland away at Wolves on Freeview Channel 711 and DAB. We always split our frequencies when both teams play at the same time. We know that we mention it a lot, but we always get questions. The most frequently asked question at BBC Radio Newcastle is, where is the commentary of Newcastle and where is the Sunderland match? So that's why we remind you. And it's 1-0 to Sunderland, but they have 10 men at Molineux. And coming up from 4, we'll have updates from South Shields playoff semi-final against Buxton in National League North. Brighton with the ball, middle of their half, back to Van Hecker. On to Veltman. Diagonal pass. Chow with a good header down. Bruno's got time to turn. It's short to Tanali. Not seen much of Tanali up the pitch, have we, today? He's done a lot of work.
Defensively, he's been good.
Yeah. almost protecting the two centre-backs. But here he is, up the left wing. Ball has stayed in play. And here's his pass looking for Osula, but it was read by Boscagli, and now Van Hecke's got it. And Newcastle have to think about getting back. Fourth official's got the numbers board there. 30 seconds away from finding out how much time has been added. Eddie Howe moving around the technical area as Brighton play short passes across their half of the pitch. Willock and Osula, closest Newcastle players to the ball, but now Van Hecke over halfway. And up the right wing, final chance maybe for Yankuba Minte to go on the attack. It's back to Veltman, high cross looking for Mitoma.
Good defending.
Newcastle
well played,
header.
young Miley.
Lewis Miley out to Murphy in the corner, rolled up the line to Osula. Osula, oh brilliant from Osula. Let it run through his legs, and now he's away up the right side. Osula into the penalty area. Oh, Osula with a finish that's one that lacked the finesse and the quality that was required. But that spin with the ball running through his legs as he turned and got away up the line.
He's done that 3 times to Boscagli.
Superb.
He hasn't learned from it.
He just was a bit wild with the strike. But he scored the opening goal, 3 in his last 4. He's giving them something. He's not the finished article, Ando. I'm sure nobody thinks that. But I don't think anybody else is going to do that in the team and get in. Yes, you need to have an end product. There wasn't one on that occasion. But that gets fans off their seats. It's exciting. And it's been a nightmare for Brighton centre-backs today. It's still 2-0. We're into 4 additional minutes. Tanali's won the ball back. Here's Joe Willock. Osula's still getting his breath back from that run. Tanali goes in behind. Willock's played it back and straight to a yellow shirt, and they're looking for Welbeck, but Pope's come out and has actually let it run behind. So no drama, no harm there. Some supporters now on their way in.
Didn't see
half time.
Didn't see the 4 minutes, was it?
Yeah. Still got 2 minutes to play.
Time for another goal.
Now they could be further ahead, but Osula and Byrne with headers give them a 2-goal cushion. Long ball from Pope, header there from Van Hecke. It's going to run back to Pope. Botman's just going to make sure, falling with a header to get the ball back into the hands of the goalkeeper. And it's out of play on the far side, and it's a Brighton throw back to their own half. Van Hecke through a gap to Boscagli. Onto the feet of Karioglu. Scored in that win over Chelsea, got the opening goal in their most recent match. Van Hecke, front of the centre circle, lifted out to Mitoma. He's a quality player, isn't he, Mitoma? There's a ball in, Tanali away. Minute to go.
Tell you what, Murphy's done well from a defensive point of view, because he's doubled up well with Miley.
And they've tried to do it with Joe Linton and Byrne on the other side with Minte. There's a ball in from Brighton. Botman heads clear. Veltman to Minte. Joe Linton goes out to him. Byrne just behind him. Back to halfway from the visitors. Van Hecke to Boscagli, and then back across to Van Hecke, left to right. Karioglu in possession. Verbruggen there at the edge of the area, just plays it away from Osula. 15 seconds of the additional time remaining. Boscagli with a big switch. Oh, how did he keep that in? Minte to throw himself at the ball. And then Joe Linton's thrown himself into a challenge.
That's got to be a card.
Looked like the crossfield pass from the Brighton defender was going out, but Minte flung himself at the ball to keep it in.
Oh, he's got away with it.
And Joelinton avoids a yellow card. Brighton get it going again quickly. Minte with a low ball in, stopped there by Tanali. It's at the edge of the area. It's come out to Baliba, blocked by Botman. And then Joelinton away, and there's the half-time whistle. A 2-0 lead for Newcastle United. Fabian Hurtzler's having a go at the fourth official again. He ought to calm down. He's been doing it all afternoon. I wonder quite what it is that he's annoyed about in terms of decisions. They will not be happy with the score, Brighton, because they could have been in front. They had a big effort from Baliba off the top of the bar after Hinchelwood had an early effort from the middle of the box saved. But Newcastle United got in front when Murphy got away from goalkeeper Verbruggen outside the box. Might have been fouled, Murphy, but he got back up, lifted a cross in. Osula headed into the empty net, and then Big Dan Burn with a near post header from an in-swinging Bruno corner for 2-0. And Newcastle United, John Anderson, are in front and looking good for it. It's been enjoyable.
Has been. Still look shaky defensively. Got away with one. And when things like that happen, you just feel that it is going to be your day. I mean, the pace of Osula will have causing Brighton all sorts of problems. The game plan has worked so well. You know, we know Brighton are good on the ball, but then all of a sudden we just break and we go from being on the edge of our penalty area to all of a sudden being in theirs.
It's been a good first half. Newcastle United are in front. They lead Brighton and Hove Albion at St James's by 2-0.
A new Crime Next Door podcast from BBC Sounds. Birkenhead, 1986.
Diane Sindel was the victim of a brutal assault.
Her murder terrifies a community.
I knew Diane hadn't got home, you see, and I saw all the police and thought it was all cordoned off. I think they found a body.
Women wouldn't walk the streets on their own.
Peter Sullivan is convicted.
The newspapers christened him the Beast of Birkenhead.
But 38 years later, it turns out they got it wrong.
I can't forgive them. They put me away. I've lost everything.
Will the real killer ever be found?
If he didn't do it, who did do it?
Crime Next Door, The Beast of Birkenhead. Listen first on BBC Sounds.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Half-time then at Molineux is Wolves 0, Sunderland 1. Nordi Mukiele with the goal, but Dan Ballard sent off for a hair pull after 23 minutes, so they're a goal up but a man down, Sunderland. And at St James's Park, Newcastle lead Brighton by 2-0. Willis Sula in the 12th minute, Dan Burn 12 minutes after that. We'll be back with our respective commentary teams for full coverage of the second halves very shortly. There's only one other game at 3 o'clock in the Premier League today. It's Brentford who lead West Ham by 1-0, and Mavropanos' own goal after 15 minutes. There is one game at 5:30 as well. That's Arsenal against Fulham.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
But all the lunchtime action was in the Championship, where Ipswich secured promotion back to the Premier League automatically by beating Queen's Park Rangers by 3-0. They were 2-0 up inside 10 minutes, and after that it was a fairly comfortable afternoon. McAteer made it 3-0 with 5 minutes to go. The two teams chasing them, first of all, Coventry City, who finished top of the table, we're always going to, won 4-0 away at Watford thanks to an Ellis Sims hat-trick. Victor Torp with the other one. The other teams chasing them, Middlesbrough drew 2-2 away at Wrexham, all of the goals coming in the first half. That means that Wrexham miss out on the playoffs as well. And Millwall beat Oxford United 2-0, Aziz scoring both of their goals either side of half-time. But both of those teams have to settle for the playoffs as Ipswich go up automatically. Southampton, who always knew they were going to be in the playoffs, won 3-1 away at Preston North End. Ross Stewart getting the middle of those 3 goals for Southampton. Hull City are into the playoffs as well. Ollie McBurney scored twice as they came from behind to beat Norwich City 2-1, and they have knocked Derby County out of the playoff places as well. Derby did the opposite. They were 1-0 up and ended up losing 2-1 at home to Sheffield United. Elsewhere in the Championship, Bristol City beat Stoke City 2-0. Portsmouth and Birmingham finished 1 apiece. Sheffield Wednesday end the season, and it's been the worst imaginable season, with a victory, a 2-1 win over West Brom. Swansea beat Charlton Athletic by 3-1 as well in the final game in the Championship. All 3 of their goals scored in the last 15 minutes.
Total Sport North East.
The Newcastle and Sunderland AFC podcast.
On BBC Sounds.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
A myriad of permutations in League 1 and League 2 on the final day. All the games kicking off at 3 o'clock in those two divisions. I'll worry about the actual permutations come full time. These are just the half-time scores. Huddersfield 1-0 up at AFC Wimbledon. Stockport County leading 1-0 away at Barnsley. Bolton 2-1 up on Luton. Bradford lead 1-0 away at Exeter City, which would relegate Exeter actually. Leyton Orient 1, Brighton Albion 1. Leyton Orient doing battle with Exeter to stay in the division, but Exeter have to win and hope that Leyton Orient don't. Mansfield are 3-0 up on Cardiff, who've already won the league. Northampton 2, Plymouth 2. Plymouth are one of the teams chasing a playoff place. Peterborough 0, Doncaster Rovers 0. Lincoln City are 1-0 up away at Port Vale. Lincoln already promoted as well. Reading 0, Blackpool 0. Stevenage 0, Wigan Athletic 0. And the final game in League 1 has had 4 goals in it. 4 goals in the space of 14 minutes as well in the first half. It's Wycombe 2, Rotherham 2.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
It is very tense down the bottom of League 2 as well. There are 5 teams that could be relegated. 2 of them will be. Barrow need to win by a few and hope that others lose by a few. They are beating Newport County 1-0 at half-time, are Barrow, but still down as it stands. Bromley 1-0 up on Walsall. Colchester leading 3-0 away at Cheltenham. It's Crawley Town 0, Salford City 0, which would just about keep Crawley up. Crewe Alexandra 0, Cambridge United 0 as well. Cambridge doing battle with Salford to get the final automatic promotion place. Fleetwood 1, MK Dons 1, Gillingham 0, Shrewsbury 0. Harrogate, who need a win to avoid relegation, are drawing 1-1 at home to Barnet. Notts County lead Bristol Rovers by a goal to 0. Oldham Athletic 1, Accrington Stanley 0. Swindon 1, Chesterfield 1. That's effectively a winner takes a playoff place. And Grimsby are leading 1-0 away at Tranmere.
Matt Bailey at breakfast. It's absolutely beaut out there this morning, so we're doing boiling hot bingo, the things you'll definitely see around the northeast today. Cal from Burnetfield.
Obviously, all of us up here were quite fair-skinned, aren't we? And you got a load of people walking around, absolutely pink, going, nah, it looks bad, but it'll go brown in the morning.
It's like the worst skin advice in the world, isn't it?
And I know that they're going to be the people, because I'm going to be one of them.
Have a fantastic bank holiday weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday. Matt Bailey at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
Newcastle United 2-0 up on Brighton at half-time. Sunderland winning 1-0 at Wolves, but also down to 10 men. Dan Ballard sent off for pulling the hair of Tolu Arakadari. A little bit unlucky, but I don't think it's one that's going to be overturned on appeal. So Dan Ballard likely to miss the final 3 games of the season with a red card for violent conduct. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that in the phone-in, depending on whether Sunderland will hang on or not. It may become relevant or not. 0800 234 6565 will be the number to call after 5 o'clock today, and we'll be back with our respective commentary teams shortly. For full coverage of the second half at St James's and at Molineux. But we're about 2 minutes away from kick-off in the other game that we're going to keep a very close eye on today, because it's South Shields in their playoff semi-final in National League North, taking on Buxton. We now know that the winner will play Kidderminster, because Kidderminster beat Macclesfield 3-1 in the other semi-final earlier this afternoon. We're going to say a quick hello to Paul Dixon at the First Cloud Arena. Afternoon again, Paul.
Hello, Colin. Yeah, Colin, it's absolutely rammed here. Claret and blue, and the blue of the opposition, Buxton. It's just an amazing atmosphere it is. But Ian Watson, he's rang the change-ins. He's left Jasper Schick out and brought Tom Watson in. And he's brought Jack Rolls in place of Kedwin Scott. But the main thing that's disappointing for the Shields fans is that Will Jenkins is not playing, and it's David Carson that's come in. I've spoken to Will Jenkins. He says it's his AC, it's not really bad, but he thinks he could maybe be out for maybe 10 weeks, Colin, which is not good news for South Shields.
Not at all, Paul. You've basically, what I was going to ask you to do was sum up the atmosphere, and you've done that perfectly. So I'm going to let you concentrate on the game that will kick off in just a couple of minutes' time. Paul Dixon, thank you very much indeed. We will give you goal updates in the first half. Your commentators will do that, whether you're listening to Newcastle or Sunderland, and then during the phone-in, that'll be the second half of the South Shields game, and we will dive back to the First Cloud Arena and get some updates live from Paul Dixon during the second half of his match. Kick off at 4 o'clock, so it should just about finish, hopefully, unless it goes to extra time and penalties, by 6 o'clock. The other playoff game that we're keeping an eye on today, Jarrow away at Yarman Eaglescliff in the Northern League Division 2 playoff final. goalless at half-time in that one. A couple of games that we thought might be more important than they've actually turned out to be in Women's Super League 2 today. Sunderland 1-0 down at Ipswich at half-time, Ava Baker with that goal, but Durham lead 1-0 at Gateshead against Newcastle United. Amber Keegan-Stobbs, who formerly captained Newcastle United, has scored against them. So Durham winning 1-0 away at Newcastle at half-time. In the battle at the top of the table, three teams could finish in the top two places. Charlton and Birmingham playing each other. Birmingham winning 1-0 at half-time. Crystal Palace drawing 1-1 with Portsmouth. Molly Sharp with the goal, formerly of Durham, which means that Charlton, who've led the league for so long this season, as it stands at half-time, going into a playoff and missing out on automatic promotion. Birmingham and Crystal Palace occupying the top two positions at the moment, but still plenty of time for that to change throughout the second half as well. Right then, from football to cricket, day 2 of Durham's County Championship match at Middlesex. How much more play, Martin Emerson, have they got to get in before the rain comes, do you think?
Well, it's getting nearer. The sky's going decidedly black towards the southwest of us, and they went off at Hampshire about a couple of hours ago, and we've got some radar suggesting we're going to have some lightning and electrical storms here as well. It's just got a bit gloomy. Durham are batting. They eventually bowled Middlesex out for 430 in the afternoon session, with Ben Rain taking 5 for 58, his 17th fifer. Higgins made 131 in that innings, and Gohar 56, and then Durham lost Alex Lees in the 6th over. He went LBW to Ryan Higgins for 12, not really moving his feet, didn't get to the pitch of the ball. Since then, Ben McKinney and Emilio Gay have taken Durham up to 59 for 1. Gay is on 28. He's just been dropped in the slips by Sam Robson off the bowling of Ethan Bosch when he was on 28. It hit him in the chest. McKinney has 18. So we have got 4 overs, 3.1 overs to go to tea, and then I think the rain will be here by about 5 o'clock.
Thank you very much, Martin. Whether it comes bang on time or not, you can keep listening to Martin's commentary via the BBC Sport website and app if you click on the cricket page, whether you're using the website or the app, on the cricket page, and then you'll find a list of all the commentaries on there. Durham women are at Chesterley Street today in the One Day Cup against the Blaze, which is Nottinghamshire to you and me. Nottinghamshire batted first, made 240 for 8 in their 50 overs. The last time I gave you an update, I mentioned that Durham had started quite well, and they were trundling along at the run rate that they needed. They went from 28 for no loss, which is pretty much what they were at when I gave you the update previously, to 36 for 5. They lost 5 wickets for just 6 runs. They then lost another one as well. They've steadied the ship a bit at 114 for 6, but the chances of them reaching that target of 241 are slim, if not zero. But we'll keep you updated on that one as well. In the basketball last night, in the Men's Super League playoff quarter-final first leg, Newcastle Eagles beaten by 18 points by London Lions. It was 90-72, but it's the aggregate score, so they're effectively starting on minus 18 tonight, tomorrow night, when they face London Lions in the capital in the second leg. One leg only for the women in the playoff quarter-final. Newcastle Eagles away at Oakland Wolves at 5 o'clock today. Newcastle Thunder just about to kick off in the Rugby League Championship at home to Batley, and Berwick Bandits beaten by Edinburgh Monarchs in the Speedway last night. In the snooker, before we hand back to the football as well, John Higgins against Sean Murphy. They're playing to a finish. It's 1st to 17, and John Higgins now leads by 14 frames to 3. In fact, in the last couple of seconds, now leads by 15 frames to 3. So he is 2 away from victory, going for a 5th world title. Both of our sides lead at half-time then in the football. Let's head back to our respective commentary teams. If you want to listen to Newcastle United against Brighton, it's 2-0 at St James's Park to Newcastle. Matthew Racebeck and John Anderson are on FM and the BBC Sounds app this afternoon. Sunderland winning as well, 1-0 away at Molineux. If you want to listen to Gary Bennett and Nick Barnes, they are on DAB and Freeview, and we'll head back to our respective commentary teams right now.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport Northeast.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Bruno's pass, Murphy. All for bringing out of the box has taken Murphy down. Play goes on. Murphy's cross headed in by William Osula. Jacob Murphy kept going after being bundled over by the goalkeeper outside of the area with the goal completely free. That is very much what they needed. 12 minutes on the clock at St James's Park. Newcastle United 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Players run to the front post. Bruno with the delivery. Dan Burn! And now everybody huddles together in the corner. Huge satisfaction at that goal. Big Dan Burn against his old club, and a second for Newcastle United.
Total Sport Northeast.
Matthew Raisbeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Those are the two goals from the first half here at St James's Park. Newcastle return for the second 45. Brighton already on the pitch, and a big second 45 where they could get their first victory, secure their first victory since the Chelsea match in the middle of March, and end the run of consecutive defeats, which in the Premier League stands at 4 in a row. And we're just making sure there are no changes at half-time. Newcastle, Pope, Miley, Chow, Botman, Byrne, Bruno, Tanali, Joelinton, Murphy, Willock and Osula. Same 11. And Brighton, Verbruggen, Veltman, Van Hecke, Boscagli, Kadioglu, Baliba and Gross, who is about to kick off, Pascal Gross, Minte, Hinshelwood, Mitoma and Welbeck. BBC Radio Newcastle at St James's Park. We're also on BBC Sounds and the Newcastle United website and app. They are shooting uphill towards the Leazes end in the second half, but they have that 2-goal advantage. Long ball by Brighton. Chow gets up with a header and it's gone straight to Welbeck, edge of the area, feints to shoot, turns away from a challenge, rolls the ball to the right wing. Supporters still returning to their seats for the start of the second half, and Brighton have been awarded a free kick because the cross from Veltman hit Joelinton on the arm outside the area, but not too far from the box, and Chris Kavanagh, the referee, has blown his whistle, had to think about it, and then decided to give the decision.
Yeah, the linesman on this side flagged as well, didn't he? Don't think the referee seen it. It was the linesman on this side who gave it.
Early defending then. And they're getting set, Newcastle, with a line which is just ahead of the 6-yard box. It's from this near right-hand side. Pascal Gross puts his right arm in the air, number 30 on his back. It's towards the penalty spot, and Van Hecke was closest, but he went ahead of the ball. Now out to Kadioglu, deep one in from the left back. Dan Burn nods it away, comes out to the right wing. Mitoma has popped up on this side, plays it to the feet of Van Hecke inside the area. Newcastle make a challenge, they haven't got it clear yet, then it's off Van Hecke and out, and they have survived that situation, defended their goal, and a 2-0 lead remains intact. On the bench, Ramsdale, Trippier, Hall, Wisser, Gordon, Barnes, Ilanga, Voltamada, Ramsey. Brighton's bench, Steele, the keeper, Igor Julio, Dunk, Rutter, Kostulas, Ayari, De Kuyper and O'Reilly. Osula using that pace to run in and away from Van Hecke. Osula into the box, but a good challenge from Van Hecke to put an end to that Newcastle attack. Osula was close to the goal line and was starting to run in towards the post. Van Hecke got his boot on the ball. Murphy there, nice turn. Oh, a lovely flick from Willock through the legs of his man. Bruno's cross, William Osula! Oh, it's straight at Verbruggen, who's juggled the ball and then volleyed it clear. Bizarre goalkeeping. Meanwhile, Bruno with a follow-up effort.
Well, he could have caught that because it wasn't a back pass, was it? It came off him. Came off the Brighton player, but it wasn't a back pass.
Verbruggen's got it eventually. Gross has gone down, might have an injury. Referee is checking. Oh, it came off the defender.
Yeah, so but it's not a back pass.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been able to pick it up.
Osula was trying to get the other side of Van Hecke.
That's not a back pass.
Well, I think the thing is, it's reared up and hit him on the chest, but he could catch it on the way down. Yeah. He's instead decided to volley it clear, so he's taken a touch on his chest, controlled it, ball's gone, spun up and come down, landed nicely on his right boot. He's volleyed it away. It's great control and skill, but he could have caught it. I thought Osula had the touch, but Van Hecke, who was on the near side of it, closest to the ball, got his left boot there and played it back to the goalkeeper rather than Osula having the effort. Had he not touched it, Osula probably would have just rolled it in because he was in such a favourable position. It remains 2-0. Nah, he would have scored that. He was coming onto it from a good angle as well, but it was a brilliant move, wasn't it, Ando, with a flick from Willock and
great
Bruno's
flick
cross.
by Willock. Great ball played in. You'd have to say it was defended well. Still can't believe the goalkeeper didn't catch it.
It's just really good play all round, isn't it?
Yeah.
And more enjoyable attacking football, and it's one of the things as it goes out on the near side for Brighton, throw in Newcastle's half. It's one of the things that's been missing, hasn't it? I don't know, a flick that becomes a nutmeg, is that swagger? Maybe, but that kind of confident attacking play, one of the hallmarks of Eddie Howe's team, hasn't been there, but we've seen a fair bit of it getting back towards that today. Willock's been important and Osula's been central to it. Chow using his strength and size to see off Kadioglu and win a goal kick.
A bit of a mismatch, that one.
Mitoma is now playing on the right wing, and Minte, who had a little spell on the left wing a few matches ago, has been moved over to the far side, so it's Mitoma up against Byrne and Minte against Miley. Black and white stripes, black shorts, black socks. Brighton all in yellow but with a bit of blue trim, pinstripe rather, on the shirts, and a white panel down the side. The ball from the goal kick, won back by the visitors. They're looking for Welbeck here, out on the right wing. Welbeck's ball goes out off Joelinton, who makes sure that he doesn't take a quick throw. And then they have a smile about it, or at least Joelinton does. And Brighton eventually take the throw. Back to Van Hecke, the blonde-haired defender. Goalkeeper Verbruggen to Baliba, and Van Hecke. He's found Hinchelwood, the 21-year-old, who had a big chance saved in the opening minutes and then blocked a Nick Pope clearance and hit the post with the block. Swung in from Brighton from the far side. Oh, Pope with a big save on the line, scooping the ball away. A cross that came in with a right-footed delivery from the Brighton left. I think it was flicked on. It might have come off Botman, and Brighton had a player arriving at the back post.
Oh, he's given handball.
But Nick Pope, no offside in there, scooped it away. He wasn't to know. Off the line, away from the foot of an attacker.
He's given handball.
Yeah, it was handball off Mitoma, wasn't it? But Pope, he just had to react, and that's, in that moment, without being able to process the fact that there could be a handball, is a big save. Got down very well.
He did.
Down quickly.
Yeah, he wasn't to know it was handball.
Van Hecke with the header from Pope's ball up the pitch. Byrne makes a challenge and whistle's gone. Veltman was caught. It's just next to the touchline, a few yards back from halfway. 2-0 to United. Sunderland still winning 1-0 at Wolves.
Yellow carded as well, Dan Bourne.
But Sunderland have 10 men. And it's DAB and Freeview Channel 711 for the red and white action. Brentford 1-0 up on West Ham in the other 3 o'clock. Van Hecke, Byrne in the book. Here comes a long ball up the Brighton left wing. Minte's got it, gets it down on the floor. Ooh. Looks to knock it away from Miley and run. He did both, but overran it. Goal kick. Wolves have equalised. It's Wolves 1, Sunderland 1, and now 2-0 to Brentford against West Ham. Igor Thiago with a penalty. The Wolves goal scorer is Santiago Bueno. the centre-back. Goal kick from Nick Pope. Van Hecke over the top of Joelinton. Burn into midfield to try to win it, but it's come from Mitoma. Newcastle players, I think, got in each other's way. Mitoma.
Great block.
Effort.
Great block.
Straight at Malik Chow, who got into the perfect position to make a big block at the edge of the area. Now rolled up the line to Yankuba Minte, clipped in. It's come off the head of Chow. Byrne and Veltman are there. Dan Byrne can't challenge in the box, and he's on a yellow card as well, but he's put it out for a throw after following the ball to the touchline. Quickly taken, and here's Hinchelwood, and it's put behind by Botman. Hinchelwood was completely free. They just switched off Newcastle, and Jack Hinchelwood,
poor ball, wasn't it?
On the goal line, straight at Botman and behind for a corner.
Yeah, he had a big chance in the first minute. It's a poor ball.
Some moments of defensive concern across the afternoon, but here in the 55th minute, it's still 2-0 to Newcastle. They've got a corner kick to see away as Minte sends it in and headed over. It's Hinchelwood again.
You carry on doing that, son.
The Brighton Academy product, Jack Hinchelwood, who's from Sussex, from Worthing, which is not far along the coast from Brighton. Could have had 3 goals today, and 2 of them he would have meant, but none of them have ended up in the net. Warm-ups now. Voltemada, Wissa, Gordon, Ilanga and Ramsey. Bruno's won the ball back, and they've got Osula running in and off the defenders, left side of the box. Osula cross, just ahead of Willock. He leathered that Osula. Didn't really give Willock much of a chance, but they stay on the attack. Tonali with a delivery, and it's come here to Willock, who's fired it over off a defender, down to Willock, and a clean contact but off target with that shot. Joe Willock.
Just lashed at it, didn't he? Chance.
I have to say, Osula's running off defenders and in behind has been excellent all afternoon. Into midfield, ball's hit the referee, match has to stop. Tried to get out of the way, Chris Kavanagh, and he apologises to Brighton. They get the ball, it's an uncontested drop ball. Now they've played it through Gross, and they're going to get the chance to do it again. They're saying that Newcastle didn't retreat. 57 played. They'll go 13th if they win, up 2 places. Crystal Palace, who are currently 14th, they've got 2 matches on most teams, including Newcastle. They are away at Bournemouth tomorrow, and if Brighton slip up today and Newcastle win, they go in behind looking for Welbeck, but it's a goal kick. Brentford will be 6th as it stands. Bournemouth in 8th could take 6th spot with a win, so it's important for Bournemouth tomorrow against Palace, and it would help Newcastle as well. But it's still so tight, and they're only 6 points in the current standings from 6th position. I'm not saying they're going to get there. 6th feels like a stretch. Only 5 points off 7th. Dan Byrne, header. Veltman back into the Newcastle half. Byrne with another header. That's up from defender Boscagli. Byrne wins another header. Baliba lifts it, looking for Minter. Yankuba Minte got the other side of Lewis Miley. First time, volleyed effort, misses the target, but Nick Pope was nowhere, and if he'd been able to connect with that in a meaningful way, he might have scored. You can see what he was trying to do, lifted over the goalkeeper who'd come out of the 6-yard box.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a ball from right to left. He's got in behind. Pope comes. You could see what he was trying to do.
Foul by possibly a combination of Joelinton and Osula. Now Veltman's on the floor. It's getting a little bit scrappy. Minte, left wing, whips one in. Botman hits the deck and wins a free kick. Welbeck was there, Hinshelwood involved too. See, with Yankuba Minte, when he's on the right, obviously he likes to run and cut inside. When he's on the left, he can go from deep with a cross on his favoured left foot. That was a good ball in.
It was a good ball in, flat ball. Welbeck and Botman went for it. Botman goes down. Referee gives a free kick.
Eddie Howe's black and white army, not for the first time today, being chanted by many inside St James's Park. Pope goes long and it's brought under control by Kadioglu. Minte.
Oh, he's overran it again.
Yeah, got there before Miley, but then his second touch was too heavy and he boots the advertising board in frustration. Not quite like Tamuri Ketsbayer.
Yeah, he's not happening for him, is it?
Famously, but he gave it a proper whack. He was annoyed, Yankuba Minte. It's a bit like Anthony Elanga. Just maybe need to, arguably William Osula, just slow down a bit. But
everything's 100 mile an hour, isn't it?
But obviously pace is such a big part of his game. Newcastle definitely missed out with Minte, there's no question about that. But they are leading here, and Tonali slipped and tumbled in midfield. Looks like he's hurt himself. He's got back up. He's grimacing. Brighton send in a cross from Veltman. Miley's header. Bruno on his chest. Brings it down. Turns back to Nick Pope. Did well. Under pressure. Pope's long ball is holding up. And it's Boscagli forward. Straight to Chow. Then Miley. Could go back to Pope again. And they do. And lifted away by the keeper. Murphy is there. Got a nudge from Kadioglu, and then Baliba has the ball, and then forwards to Welbeck, and then Hinshelwood and Welbeck, and Hinshelwood in the area, and he scored. This time it hits the net from Brighton's Hinshelwood, who has had opportunities this afternoon and hasn't made the most of them, but then Newcastle gave it away when a ball from the goalkeeper was played into midfield, but it hung up and Brighton won it back, moved it well to the edge of the area, and their 2-goal cushion is halved in the 62nd minute. Newcastle United 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Good one-touch stuff, wasn't it? Good finish as well.
So they've been in a position so many times where they've had a 1-0 lead and seen it overturned. They're still in front at 2-1. Ball's come to Byrne and up the line it goes, but Willock had already made the run and Van Hecke's intercepted. Crowd are going to get edgy. You can hear that already. What do the players need to do psychologically and in terms of their mindset?
Just got to keep going, keep concentrating.
Minte back to Kadioglu. Do not want to see this lead wiped out. Lewis Hall's about to come on. Harvey Barnes is ready as well. Brighton with a cross blocked by Tonali, and it's away towards the halfway line. Van Hecke. Oh, Baliba, heavy touch, and Tonali onto Willock. Joe Willock having a look and playing it onto Murphy. Brighton have got bodies back. Here's Jacob Murphy. Goes on the outside of his man. Still going Murphy, and still he's done well and delivers the cross, which Verbruggen grabs at the front post. Double change is imminent, with Brighton now back in the game. Big run up the pitch this. Up the left-hand side. And here's a cross from Minte.
He's been
straight.
I know what you say about him, but his decision making is.
It was Kadioglu, the fullback, who took the ball a long way. When Minte played the cross, Gross slammed the pitch in frustration. Byrne looking for Willock. It doesn't stick. Brighton get it back. You can hear the reaction. There are fans out of their seats flinging their arms at the pitch. They're unhappy at the way it's breaking down from Newcastle. Confidence will obviously be a factor, but they've got to stay strong. Van Hecke, it's a dangerous ball into the box. Byrne puts it behind. Gross took a touch. Byrne was able to make a challenge, fortunately. They want another player, they want another substitute. Johan Wissa. They might put Osula out wide right, you know. Hall and Barnes are coming on, and so is Wissa. Gordon remains out there warming up, as does Voltemada. It's 2-1. Got to stop it quickly becoming 2-2. On the right, outswinging, Pascal Gross corner. Dan Burn away. Mitoma takes it down. Back to Gross, who has a touch. Beats Willock's challenge. Then plays in Mitoma. Oh, and it's blocked by Chow. And behind at the near post.
Could have went anywhere.
Eddie Howe gives Johan Wissa a big hug, arm round the shoulder. Last instructions for him. The manager has spent a long time talking to Lewis Hall. He's been waiting a while to come on. Another Brighton corner at a nervy St James's Park, where Newcastle still lead 2-1 here on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds. At the Gallagher end, Yankuba Minte clips it in near post. It's gone up off Brighton, off Gross, and it's caught by Nick Pope.
Relieves a bit of the pressure.
Pope rolls it out to Chow. Into midfield to Joelinton. Takes it down, lifts it away from Baliba. What skills from Joelinton. Bruno looking for Murphy. It's cut out. Brighton then give it away with a forward ball. Miley here turns, doesn't go back to Pope. Tries to chip it in behind Kadioglu for the run of Murphy, who's got Osula in the middle. If he can bring it down and find him. Murphy, it's a physical battle for the ball. And he's won a free kick, Jacob Murphy, right under the watch and the gaze of the assistant referee, and Kadioglu and Welbeck are giving some stick to linesman Ian Hussin. He's right next to that. He let it go for a bit, but Kadioglu, who had a hand on Murphy might have had a hand on Kadioglu's shirt, but Kadioglu's then grabbed the back of Murphy's jersey and nearly pulled it over his head. Well, what they're complaining about.
You get them told, Razor.
Yeah, exactly. It was 50-50 at first. They had a hold of each other, and Murphy was fouled. The triple substitution yet to be made by Eddie Howe. Almost midway through the second half. Brighton have got a goal back. 2-1 Newcastle lead. Bruno's free kick. Sven Botman goes up, but it's away. It's come out to Murphy. Brighton had a player down. Murphy lifts it up and behind. Not a good ball in, unfortunately. And here come the changes. Joe Willock replaced by Lewis Hall. Willock had an excellent first half, and he played that flick to get Bruno away early in the second half. The next change made by Newcastle United. Harvey Barnes for Jacob Murphy. And Johan Wissa is coming on. And he will replace. I'd like to see Osula stay out there, but Osula will not continue. Wissa replaces him, but Osula, what about the all-round game today, Ando? He's got one goal, could have had another, but
Brighton have played such a high line. It's ideal for him with the pace that he's got in behind, and he's caused them all sorts of problems. Gone to a back three.
And Osula now has 7 goals this season. Only Bruno, Voltemada, Barnes and Gordon have more for Newcastle. So they line up now. Has Chow gone to right back?
No.
Or the ball in midfield. Bruno, Brighton have slipped, and he's gone to the right for Barnes when he had Wissa to the left, but the clearance straight to Joelinton. Now Tanali, back to Hall, and Joelinton on this near side, up the line to Tanali. He's played it out of play. Oh.
Gone to 3 centre-backs. Miley still at right back, Hall at left back.
They made a bit of a mess of that situation. Twice they were gifted an opportunity and an opening. Throw from Veltman. Boscagli long diagonal ball. Nick Pope, it bounces on the edge of the area. They were looking for Minte. It's rolled out quickly to Miley. And he's got a runner, Barnes, and it might go for Wisser in the middle, but Barnes' touch wasn't quite there, edge of the area, and it's played back to Verbruggen and out quickly to left back Kadioglu. Hope this is a positive 25 minutes for Johan Wisser, Ando, after his tough time, but they keep saying that he's looking fitter and sharper. We saw some evidence of that at Arsenal, and he's come on at a key time in the game, hasn't he?
He has. Big opportunity for him.
Minte, good touch off the left, clip ball to the near post towards Hinshelwood. It's behind for a corner off Dan Burn. Johan Wisser, they're keeping a player up by halfway, Newcastle. Carlos Baliba has gone back with him. Neither post is occupied by a defender or an attacker, but Welbeck's in the 6-yard box. Botman between Welbeck and Nick Pope. Corner on the Brighton left, far side. Botman with a header. Tanali chases after it. Kadioglu's there, and he's done well under pressure from Tanali. That's a great ball to play a teammate in. Now the cross near post. Oh, they've all missed it. At the near post, Welbeck missed it, and then at the back post, Van Hecke couldn't get a touch. Brighton inches away from an equaliser.
Talk about live on the edge. What a chance! Ooh, dear oh dear.
You can exhale. They survived that attack and they still lead, but by 2 goals to 1. Header backwards from Baliba. Joelinton looking hungry. Showed more desire for the ball than Veltman. He's got 3 on him. Hasn't been able to keep possession. Mitoma has got it back to Boscagli. Oh, that might be a bit short for Verbruggen, and Johan Wisser closed him down. Almost swept it in. And Baliba's missed the ball. Bruno helping it on. He's been caught. Van Hecke is livid with the referee.
Postagli has been.
Van Hecke's furious. He was jumping up and down. He came and caught Bruno after he lifted it up.
He just stood there, though, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
He just stood there.
Yeah, Bruno's gone down. Those decisions are always given, aren't they? For the team for whom the player takes the hit.
I can understand why he's upset, because he's just stood there and he kicked into him.
We're going to take your calls after the match. Give us a ring now. BBC Radio Newcastle's number, as they prepare to take the free kick, is 0800 234 6565. 0800 234 6565. Bruno with a free kick just in front of the centre circle. Headed inside by Botman, edge of the area. Brighton header. Botman back in, looking for Byrne. Van Hecke up. Hall into the box towards Byrne. Welbeck with a clearance that Newcastle managed to deflect, and then Joelinton's won it back. Here's Lewis Hall sending in a delivery, which Verbruggen is able to pluck from the sky. Van Hecke now to Kadioglu. It's Pope in goal, Miley, Chow, Botman, Byrne and Hall, a back 5. They've got a 4 across the middle of Barnes on the right, Joelinton left, Bruno and Tanali in the middle, and Wisser up top. And it's a 2-1 lead here for Eddie Howe's men, who've not lost 5 in a row in the Premier League since January 2021. 2-0 at half-time. Brighton got one back through Hinshelwood, Jack Hinshelwood, in the second half. Trying to end the run of defeats and make it stop at 4. Van Hecke, central position, 25 yards from the goal. Everybody behind the ball in black and white. Gross with a turn, then a cross off his right foot, deflected by Hall. Byrne heads away and out. Doing the necessary defending, Newcastle United. Boskagli to Baliba. I think the players need this extra noise, and crowd are doing their bit as Gross plays it into the box towards Hinshelwood, back out to Veltman, and then Gross near the corner to Veltman. First time cross blocked by Hall. Baliba to Veltman again. Brighton looking like they did at the start of the game, composed and confident, playing their football. Minte. Curse of the commentator. Happy to take that one though. Miscontrols, and it's out for a Newcastle throw. Miley to Chow, into Bruno, back to Chow. First time into central midfield. Mitoma's come across, although his header's gone out and away to Barnes. But then it's won back by Mitoma with a bit of help from Kadioglu, and Newcastle are without it again. Baliba across the pitch between Veltman and Van Hecke. Brighton still have it. Boskagli up the left wing. Now they send in a delivery which Hall heads away. Joelinton chests it, starts to come away with the ball, flicks it to Tonali, or gets it out of his feet and away. Tonali, Van Hecke comes over and makes an interception. Or then he's back-heeled it against Tonali, and then it's gone out off Veltman. Throw for Newcastle. Both teams want a free kick. It's a United throw only. Both players take their time in getting up. It's been a different type of Tonali performance, hasn't it? I just feel like he's been a lot deeper.
Yeah, defensively he's been decent.
Hall on a run with a nutmeg, smashed out of play by Van Hecke. Brighton get the decision. Newcastle can't believe it. It's ended up in the executive seats right behind us, middle of the Milburn lower section. That clearance from Van Hecke, he's got it again. This time rolls it up the line to Veltman, and there's a foul by Barnes, who'd come across. Referee Chris Kavanagh wasn't happy with where Brighton took the free kick from.
They didn't take it from the right place the second time either.
No. They've worked it quickly over to the left wing, and Yankuba Minte out of his feet looking for the second touch, but Malik Chow is over to cover and help out Lewis Miley, but Chow's ball was ahead of Miley and straight back to a yellow shirt. 77th minute. It's a bit tense here on Tyneside. Minte, chance to deliver, sends it over straight at Nick Pope near post.
I think he's been poor, you know.
More so since going to the left.
His final ball's been woeful.
I suppose when he's on the right, he's got the option of whipping in across, in swinger, or shooting. But when he's on the left-hand side, he's probably not. He's less likely to come in and hit it with his right. So he's got to go on the outside. Wisser there with a good leap and a header on, but it's out. It's a Brighton throw. And Albion with Boskagli and Veltman on halfway. Out of contract in the summer, Joel Veltman. The first half substitute for the injured Mats Vifa. Newcastle made a triple change in this second half, and they've changed formation as well, but it's been all Brighton really, and that's since their goal back, but still 2-1 to Eddie Howe's men. Some big names still available to come on, all warming up at the moment. Kadioglu and Mitoma. Bruno in the middle with a challenge, and he's on a free kick as he tried to bring the ball away from the corner of the penalty area. He's down flat on his front, face on the turf, eating up a few seconds, giving Newcastle a breather. How do you see it at the moment, Ando, and where it's heading this game? 12 minutes to play.
Well, second half's been all Brighton, hasn't it? Got the goal back, but you just wonder if they're running out of ideas now, Brighton. Gone to a back three with two full-backs sat in. Difficult for Brighton to play through.
BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds. Wisser header on. Barnes can't get there. Activity on the Brighton bench. Wisser then stops. Kadioglu getting away up the line. Throw at left full-back for Fabian Hürzeler's team. Which they are yet to take. It's a triple change for Brighton as Bruno wins the ball back. Tight area, far side, and he's chipped it forwards, trying to get a deflection, trying to win a corner. Goal kick is the outcome. A reminder, Sunderland 1-1 with Wolves away from home. Sunderland have 10 men, and if you want the final stages of that match, then Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett's commentary is on DAB and Freeview Channel 711 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Brighton, 3 players who are coming on are Jorginho Rutter, Charalampos Kostoulas, the 18-year-old Greek international striker, and Maxime de Kuyper. Going off, Carlos Baliba, Danny Welbeck, and we're not sure who the other player leaving the pitch will be. Joel Veltman, the first half sub, now subbed off. But it's probably a more attacking move. They've changed their system. Kadioglu's come to right back. De Kuyper has gone to left back. And Kostoulas is up front with Rutter just behind him. Hinchelwood deeper with Gross in the middle. We'll let you know if there are any goals in South Shields' playoff semi-final against Buxton. Shields have just been awarded a penalty. It's in the National League North for promotion to the top level of non-league football. Could have South Shields and Gateshead in that division next season, along with Hartlepool. And South Shields have scored the penalty through Paul Blackett, who is their main goal scorer, their top striker. So 1-0 South Shields in the playoff semi-final. That was a 4 o'clock kickoff. Nothing happening really here. Brighton long ball forwards and an offside.
Free kick, offside.
2-1 Newcastle lead.
Yeah, as I said earlier, going to the 5 at the back seems to have dulled Brighton a little bit. They've got no space to play in now.
Back to Malik Chow. It's a bit of a loose pass. It's a ball back by Brighton that wasn't necessarily the best. Boscagli there fires it into Verbruggen. Kadioglu's got to be careful. Hall's on his shoulder and forced him out wide. Kadioglu up the line and out. Lewis Hall quickly taken throw. No offside from a throw. Wisser in the penalty area. Chips it to the far post. It's too high for Barnes. Miley has kept it in and won a throw off De Kuyper. Johan Wisser, not the delivery he was looking for. He might have been entitled to go for the shot. Possibly a lack of confidence there. Decision making.
Angle wasn't great though, was it?
But Miley has kept them up the pitch and on the attack as Brentford go 3-0 up against West Ham. Spurs third bottom away to Villa tomorrow. Could be a big result at the bottom, that. They've got it back from the throw. Miley looking for Barnes, trying to get away into the area. Brighton have cleared it. Botman with a header. And Miley takes it down under pressure, finds Sandro Tonali on towards Bruno, but won back by the visitors. Here's Rutter through the middle. Hall is there, gives Botman a shout, covering Lewis Hall. Back to Nick Pope. He's under pressure. He slipped. Kostoulas almost pinched it from him. It's the second time Nick Pope's almost been caught. The first time he had a clearance in the first half that rebounded off Hinchelwood and hit the post. There, he took a bit too long. And Charalampos Kostoulas almost did what Hinchelwood did. Fortunately, Pope got it just away from him via a deflection off Kostoulas' leg.
Yeah, got lucky again, didn't he?
Bit of skill on the far touchline from Brighton. Miley then makes a challenge. It's run for Mitoma. Tonali has chested it down and behind for a corner. Brighton supporters applauding at level 7 at the other end of the ground. Newcastle are 2-1 up in the 84th minute. Call us now on 0800 234 6565. Whatever the outcome, we'd love to hear from you on BBC Radio Newcastle on our post-match phone-in. Here's the corner. It's rolled short. Then they give it back to Pascal Gross. It's a training ground routine. Tanali's made another challenge. It's gone behind for a goal kick. Didn't quite come off there. That move between De Kuyper and Gross. And Mitoma unable to win a corner. Has been... Was that Mitoma yellow carded or was it Tanali? Tanali booked, I think.
For what?
Would have to be delaying the restart or dissent, surely. Because there was no foul in there. Yeah, he threw the ball away, picked it up and flung it behind. Long ball from Nick Pope. Bruno tries to flick on. It hits Gross behind him. Bruno then takes it forwards. Brighton win it back. And up to Kostoulas. Kadioglu now on the right-hand side. Minte is on the right side. Mitoma's gone back to the left. Yankuba Minte, Byrne and Hall there, and Wissa back additionally. Kadioglu sends in a cross. Brighton through Gross, control it. It's blocked by Chow. Nick Pope, what a save!
What a save!
Nick Pope,
they're going to look at handball as well.
Has had some nervy moments in this match, but he has produced two huge saves, one at the start and right there from the effort. He got down quickly with the shot that came towards the bottom left corner to push it behind. It's a corner kick, however, they are looking at a potential handball and it's no penalty. It was blocked there by Chow in the middle from an earlier effort, and then it was sent back towards goal, and Pope has made a save of huge proportions, and the referee Chris Kavanagh is coming now, and finally a member of the Brighton staff who have been in the ear of the fourth official all afternoon are being punished with a card. I don't know if it was the coach or the manager. There's three of them out there. Did you think they had a shout there for handball?
Have to see it again.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it hit, where on the arm or the body.
Don't think his arms weren't in an unnatural position though.
That might have been what saved them anyway. Here's the corner, left-footed from the right, headed back across. Pope claims next to the crossbar. That's a massive save.
Oh, it's a huge save. It's an absolutely wonderful save.
And his distribution hasn't been great today, but his shot stopping has been outstanding at times, and that's why he's in the team. They've lost it on the near side as they try to play forwards. Mistakes coming in and a lack of control from Newcastle, but they still lead. Late challenge by Wissa, who gets a yellow card for a foul on Van Hecke. Brighton are bringing on the captain, the big centre-back Lewis Dunk, in the 88th minute. You're listening to BBC Radio Newcastle. If you've never called us before, make today your debut on our post-match phone-in. We'd love to hear your views on the match and more generally on United. 0800 234 6565. Give us a call, we'll get your details and then add you to the list for our phone-in. 0800 234 6565. Or you can send us a text message, 81333, start it with BBC. Jack Hinshelwood off, Lewis Dunk on. Extra height. He might play as a centre forward. Brighton need points in their push for Europe. They've taken a short free kick and now it's a deep cross. Miley gets up, flicks it away. Tanali's after that, beats De Kuyper to the ball. He's facing his own goal there, tries to play it up the line. Ruta has it into the area on the outside. Oh,
Minte's missed the sitter.
And Yankuba Minte from a couple of yards out has blazed it over the top. He didn't pull on a Newcastle United shirt, but
you
Yankuba
just know
Minte
it's going to be your day.
Has done his old club a massive favour there. He has missed from the ball rolls rolled across by Ruta in front of goal, took a couple of nicks on the way along. It was going away from goal and perfectly into the path of Minte, and off his favoured left foot he has blazed it over the top. Players are surrounding the referee. I've no idea why. He's telling them all to get away. Brighton should be level. It remains 2-1 to Newcastle in the 89th minute. What a miss from Minte.
Oh. On a plate, isn't it?
He annoyed Newcastle supporters a year ago. I think it was a year ago this weekend when they got a big point, big draw through a late penalty at the Amex Stadium, having scored earlier in the game with his celebration. Here's Wissa. Good touch on the chest, good play up the line, trying to win a corner. It's kept in and cleared. He scored here last season in the FA Cup as well and was quite apologetic about it. And there he pulled his shirt over his head after he missed. It's probably the biggest cheer of what's been a difficult second half. Byrne with a big interception. Joelinton onto Hall. Wissa's free. Hall is running away with it. Lewis Hall's got Wissa in the middle. Edge of the area. Hall's cross. Here's Wissa! Oh, no! Over the top. Johan Wissa. First time from Hall's roll. Ball rolled in. Oh, he's guided it over the top. Brilliant from Lewis Hall. Wissa stayed in the right position onside. He just had to roll it past the goalkeeper, keep it low, and it's power and height, and he slid it over the top. It's a ball that did have pace on it, but he just needed the accuracy, didn't he? Just needed to guide it in.
It's a dream ball for a centre forward, to be fair. 8 yards out, coming onto it, bang. Would have been game, set, match.
Bruno has gone off, Jacob Ramsey has replaced him, and they signalled for 5 additional minutes, didn't they?
Yeah,
I think so. We're in the first of those. The member of staff for Brighton who is wearing the baseball cap is still having a go about something. Newcastle could have sealed it there. Feel for Wissa. He's got to score that. He'll be getting absolutely battered on social media, no doubt about it, for missing that chance. Hopefully it won't cost Newcastle. Nothing wrong with the run and the positioning. He just needed the finish. Might get another chance here. Joelinton out to the right to Barnes. Wissa in the centre. Barnes surrounded by Brighton players has been taken out by Van Hecke, who should surely receive a yellow card, and he is going into the book. Eddie Howe turns to the bench, speaking to a member of his coaching team. He will be feeling just like you do right now. 3 minutes of the 5 remaining, but a bit of a delay for the substitution. Here's the free kick into the box. Byrne with a header across goal. Joelinton edge of the area towards Barnes. Out wide right. Keeps possession. Inside to Tenali. Back to Barnes. Chance to deliver a ball in. They haven't yet. Barnes goes back to Lewis Miley. He's come in from the touchline. Goes back to Chow. At halfway, Chow, it's deflected, and Brighton have got it back and can counter. Straight at Botman, fortunately, the space it's opened up here. Joelinton, Tenali, Wissa trying to hold his line, he's gone offside. They've played in Barnes up the right wing. Barnes now slows it down. Ramsey, edge of the area from Barnes' pass, back out wide.
Just go forward, Harvey.
Here's Ramsey, great feet from Ramsey. Could be a free kick. They play on. Tenali has it. He's away to the corner. And Tenali, it's a goal kick. Tried to win a corner kick. But it's Brighton's ball. Eddie Howe's got his hands on his head. They could have driven on there and maybe got the third goal. It's finished.
You just keep it. You just kill it. Keep it in the corner.
It's finished. Wolves 1, Sunderland 1. Boscagli forwards, Botman important header, Brighton committing players forwards, Newcastle here, Joelinton, or he might go himself on the outside of Van Hecke. Joelinton go all the way or square it, Joelinton just past the post. Goodness me.
Great run, wasn't it? Strong running.
Joelinton just past the post, left-footed, left side of the area. Wisser in the middle, could have had the cut back. Barnes could have had it on the far side. Oh, inches past the frame of the goal. Final minute of the 5 that were added, but it's a minimum period, so it's up to the referee. 2-1 Newcastle. Big header from Botman. Barnes to Tonali. And now Miley chasing after it. There is so much space and room. Brighton leaving big gaps at the back. Miley inside to Ramsey. He can take it on. He's got Wisser in the penalty area.
Go in the corner.
Ramsey back to Miley. Could have been a foul on Ramsey. Play on. Back to Chow. Game management from Newcastle United. Over to Big Dan Byrne. Hall on the outside. Byrne sends it forwards. Wisser to chase. Van Hecke is there. Wisser putting him under pressure. Wisser's got in. A chance to seal it for Wisser. Plays it back to Harvey Barnes. Goalkeeper's off his line. Barnes! That'll do. Johan Wisser has created a third goal for Harvey Barnes after a slip from Van Hecke, and Verbruggen coming out of his goal off his line. Wisser couldn't finish the chance, got it back to Barnes, who slammed it into the net. And it's 3-1 to Newcastle United, who will win for the first time in the Premier League since the middle of March, who will end the run of 4 straight Premier League defeats, and a second half that saw Brighton get one back and come close to an equaliser on a few occasions, has ended with Newcastle making sure of victory with a crucial third goal from Barnes. Wisser, who could have wrapped it up earlier, played his part. Harvey Barnes, 15th of the season. Newcastle United 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Great finish, Van Hecke. Oh, you won't want to see that again. Wisser does well, rolls it into Barnes with great composure, just pulls it back onto his left foot. He's such a good finisher. Just lashes it into the roof of the net. Not too sure 3-1's a fair reflection of the game, mine.
Tell you what, I've enjoyed the last 5 or 10 minutes because Newcastle have counter-attacked. Brighton have left. I mean, they threw players forwards to try and get an equaliser. The gaps were there. Newcastle exploited them. They had opportunities and then they took one right at the end. Brighton kicked off and that was the last action. No time for them to try and get it forwards. And it's a win, finally. And an end to this run of defeats. And that feeling, the winning feeling, is back. And it is so desperately needed. Newcastle United have beaten Brighton and Hove Albion by 3-1 at St James's Park. William Osula and Dan Byrne in the first half, but Jack Hinshelwood in the second. And it got nervy. Nick Pope made a massive save after he had, well, a dodgy moment in the first half with Hinshelwood, and then he got a fright from Kostulas, who almost closed down a clearance. They had the big chance through Minte from a couple of yards out when he smashed it over the top when he should have just rolled it in. Wisser should have scored. Hall, great work up the left wing, fired it over. Wisser just over the top, but then he played his part, creating the third goal for Harvey Barnes, making an impact as a substitute, Johan Wisser. And it's just nice, isn't it, John Anderson, for supporters and players and manager and staff, for everybody together to just enjoy a a victory. It wasn't comfortable at times. It was pretty rough in the second half and for the opening 10 minutes or so. But they've won, and that's what today was about.
Yeah, it was all about a win, wasn't it? We got that. Look, even in the first half when we were 2-0 up, you never really felt comfortable. Defending, a lot of last-ditch defending. When Brighton scored, you thought what was coming. Thought Brighton ran out of ideas then when we went to a 5. They throw a lot of bodies forward. Right, you might as well get beat 3-1 as 2-1. You know, and that's the way they looked at it. They left themselves wide open. But a win's a win, and you take it. And you felt when the back pass and the ball hit the post, you just felt it was going to be your day. You know, if it's not going to be your day, that goes in. When you know it's going to be your day, it hits the post and bounces to safety, and that's exactly what happened.
Only Newcastle's third Premier League victory over Brighton and Hove Albion in 18 attempts. It's a fixture they've struggled in. All 3 wins have been here. There was a big one en route to the Champions League 3 years ago. Today's is massive for different reasons. It ends that run of defeats. It takes them away from the teams below them, back above Leeds and Palace, 11 points clear of Spurs, who have 4 games to play. Newcastle 3 remaining. Surely that's enough. Surely that's the end of any talk of the R word. And they're only 6 points behind Brentford in 6th.
Yeah, let's see what the next 3 games brings. Listen, as big as the win was, performance-wise, you know, yet again we kept giving the ball away. We rely on breaking on teams. Hopefully this gives us a little bit of confidence.
Call us now on 0800 234 6565. We've got post-match reaction to come. Newcastle United 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
An exciting afternoon, certainly at St James's Park. Newcastle win their first game in 6. Sunderland hold on with 10 men at Molineux for a very long time. That's the story of the afternoon. The Magpies beat Brighton 3-1. Asula and Byrne in the first half. Harvey Barnes right at the end. Did the slight surprises in the starting lineup end up being justified in the end? There were big misses to discuss in that game as well, including from a former Newcastle player. Dan Ballard sent off for a hair pull. He will miss the rest of the season. You may well want to debate that, but his Black Cats teammates held on for a point, but it's a point against a side that were already relegated. Who knows though how much that point might help at the end of the month. Give us a call, have a chat to John Anderson and Gary Bennett. The number is 0800 234 6565 to come on and have a chat with either of those two. You can send us messages in a couple of different ways as well. The WhatsApp number 08000 321 333, 08000 321 333, or if it's a standard text message, an SMS message, send it to 81333, 81333. Start it with the letters BBC and we will discuss both 90 minutes in just a moment.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle. I'm Dilly Carter and I love organising. In my brand new podcast, Sort Your Life Out Unpacked, celebrity guests join me to unbox 3 revealing items from their home. Oh wow, I wasn't expecting this. Along the way, I'll be giving you practical hacks to help you declutter your life as well.
This is the tough love I need. Don't hold back.
I'm definitely taking you with me back to my house.
Sort Your Life Out Unpacked. Watch on iPlayer, listen on BBC Sounds.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
A very busy afternoon up and down the country and up and down the leagues in the Premier League today, as well as Newcastle beating Brighton 3-1 and Sunderland drawing 1-0 at Wolves. There was only one other 3 o'clock game. Brentford beat West Ham by 3-0. A Mavropanos own goal in the first half, an Igor Thiago penalty, and then Martin Damsgaard in the second. So Brentford 3, West Ham 0. Brentford are up to 6th. West Ham still just a couple of points clear of Spurs at the bottom. And the 5:30 game, because there's so many games tomorrow, just one more to come today. today. The 5:30 kick-off in the Premier League, Arsenal against Fulham.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
All the Championship games kicked off at 12:30. The story is Ipswich back in the Premier League. A 3-0 win over Queen's Park Rangers, including scoring twice in the first 10 minutes, sees them promoted alongside Coventry, who won 4-0 away at Watford thanks to an Ellis Sims hat-trick. In the playoffs then, only in the playoffs, Middlesbrough, after drawing 2-2 away at Wrexham, that was the half-time score as well. It means Wrexham miss out on the playoffs. Millwall are only in the playoffs, could have ended up in the top two today. They did their bit. They beat Oxford United 2-0. Southampton, who were already guaranteed a playoff place and who will now play Middlesbrough in those playoffs, won 3-1 away at Preston. Ross Stewart scoring one of those goals. Hull City made it into the playoffs. They steal the final place by beating Norwich 2-1. They had to come from behind to do it. Ollie McBurney scored both. That, combined with Derby County throwing away a lead to lose 2-1 at home at Sheffield United, means that Derby miss out. Hull are into the playoffs. Elsewhere, Leicester won 1-0 at Blackburn. Bristol City beat Stoke City 2-0. They scored in the first and the 88th minutes, Bristol City. Birmingham drew 1-0 away at Portsmouth. Sheffield Wednesday avoided finishing the season on negative points. They finish on 0 by beating West Bromwich Albion. Just a second win of the season for them, but Sheff Wednesday 2, West Bromwich Albion 1. And the final game that we haven't mentioned in the Championship, Swansea scored 3 in the last 15 minutes to beat Charlton 3-1.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
In League One, we already knew that Lincoln City and Cardiff City were promoted. There were still a couple of things to be sorted out in terms of playoff places and in terms of relegation. Relegation first, Exeter are down. They'll be playing in League 2 next season. Despite a bit of a comeback, they were still beaten 2-1 at home by Bradford City. In the end, that combined with Leyton Orient's 2-2 draw at Burton Albion means that Leyton Orient stay up, Exeter City go down. In the playoffs, it will be Stockport, Bradford, Bolton and Stevenage, which is as you were before the start of today's play. Luton winning 3-2 at Bolton didn't matter. Plymouth winning 3-2 at Northampton didn't matter either. They both failed to make it in. Elsewhere, goals galore. You can tell it's the final game of the season with pressure off. Huddersfield win 4-0 at AFC Wimbledon. Stockport won 3-1 at Barnsley. At Mansfield 5, Cardiff City 4. Cardiff City had already won the league. Peterborough United 1, Doncaster Rovers 3. That was a Billy Sharp hat-trick. Lincoln, the promoted side as well, won 2-0 at Port Vale. Blackpool won 1-0 at Reading. Stevenage beat Wigan Athletic by a goal to nil. And finally, Wickham beat Rotherham 3-2.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
There was all sorts to be sorted out in League 2 as well. Bromley and MK Dons knew that they were already going up. Bromley have won the league title with a 3-1 win over Walsall, but down the bottom, Newport County have saved themselves by winning 2-1 at Barrow. Coming from behind, Barrow are relegated. Newport County scored twice in the last 50 minutes to keep themselves up, and that relegates Harrogate, who in the end were beaten 2-1 at home by Barnet. Anyway, other sides saving themselves today in the sense that they could have gone down were Tranmere and Crawley. Tranmere, who drew 1-1 at home to Grimsby. Crawley, who drew 0-0 at home to Salford City. That draw also means that Salford City miss out on automatic promotion, and Cambridge United's 0-0 draw at Crewe Alexandra was enough for them to go up and play in League 1 next season. Elsewhere, Colchester United won 4-1 at Cheltenham. Fleetwood Town won, MK Dons won. Gillingham scored late to beat Shrewsbury. Notts County won, Bristol Rovers won. Oldham beat Accrington Stanley 3-0. Chesterfield won 2-1 at Swindon.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
So that's the EFL done and dusted for the season. Non-league season for many clubs. Most clubs has finished, but not for everybody. Not for South Shields, who are involved in a playoff, National League North playoff semi-final. They are just about to get the second half underway. In fact, they have got the second half underway, haven't they, Paul Dixon? How is it looking early in the second half?
Well, it's looking very good, Colin. They played 49 minutes and they scored South Shields 1, Buxton 0. But they should have had it all wrapped up in the first half. 22nd minute, they should have gone ahead. Great opportunity, superb ball in the box by Sonny Finch. Found Sean McGurk 6 yards out. His flick shot going wide of the post. He should have put Shields 1-0 up. But then on 40 minutes, Shields scored their 100th goal of the season. Brilliant work by Oliver Bainbridge. Superb pass into the box to Sean McGurk, who was brought down in the box. The referee pointed straight to the spot. Up stepped top goal scorer Paul Blackett, who fired the ball high into the net for his 30th goal in the National League and his 35th in total. But then 2 minutes later, goal scorer Blackett was provider for Sonny Finch. Played him in on goal just to keep at a beat and fired wide of the target. Should have scored. For me, they should have been going in at half time 3-0 up. But they're doing exceptionally well. I think Ian Watson at half time would be more than pleased the way his team were playing. 52 minutes gone, Colin. 1-0 to Shields.
Thank you, Paul. We will come back to you as soon as anything significant happens in the rest of that second half. Jarrow's season isn't over either, because they've drawn 0-0 at Yarmouth Eaglescliff in the Northern League Division 2 playoff final, so it's gone to extra time, and they're about 10-12 minutes into extra time. That one is still goalless as well. We will come back to Newcastle and Sunderland in just a moment. Give us a call, 0800 234 6565, to discuss all of today's action. But before we do that, we go down to Lords to hear from Martin Emerson on day 2 of Durham's cricket match in the County Championship at Middlesex. I'm going to ask you the same question as I asked you the last time, Martin. When's the rain coming?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the app, and it's suggesting that there's some pretty heavy stuff on the way very shortly, with greens and yellows in the radar for heavy rain, and some thunderstorms likely as well. But at the minute, even though it's telling us it's about a 90% chance of rain, it still hasn't started to fall yet. But it looks really gloomy in the southwest there. The floodlights have been on since tea. Hasn't affected Durham though. They're doing quite nicely. They're on 116 for 1. So Emilio Gay has 66 of those. Ben McKinney has 36 of those, and at tea they had been 77 for 1, so they currently trail by 314, and these two so far have put on 96 runs off 126 balls, so they're going nicely. The scoreboard tells us there's 23 overs left of play today, but I don't think we'll get all of those in if this weather arrives the way it's meant to, but they're still out there for the time being, so there's still commentary on the BBC website and the sports app.
Fantastic, thank you, Martin. Durham's women involved in one-day cup action today, but they were beaten by 92 runs by the Blaze, Nottinghamshire, at Chesterley Street today. Just to round out the football, by the way, not in our patch quite, but involving a league that our teams play in. West Auckland came from behind to beat Shildon 2-1. They scored in the 80th and the 95th minutes. A 95th minute penalty for West Auckland to send them up from the Northern League Division 1 into the NPL East Division next season. Shildon losing a playoff in the Northern League Division 1 for the third consecutive season. There were more than 1,000 people watching Shildon against West Auckland today. Right then, let's say a proper hello both to Gary Bennett at Molineux and to John Anderson at St James's Park. Evening, gentlemen.
Hello, Colin.
Gary, you've had a little bit longer to wait since your game finished first and also wasn't quite as frantic a finish. How do you summarise the value of Sunderland's point today?
I think it was a good point. I think before a ball was kicked, we would have settled for a point. I know that people will be saying that, okay, they're a relegated team, but they've got nothing to play for. But I think when you look back over the full 90 minutes, especially when we went down to 10 men, you've got to say it was a well-deserved point overall.
And if you want to give Gary a call, give us a call. You know the number probably by now. I'm going to tell you it again anyway. 0800 234 6565. Ando, you did have an exciting finish. That's probably the most open 15-20 minutes of football we've seen for a long time. Just a lot of space on that football pitch.
It's a hard one to describe. You're 2-0 up and you still don't feel comfortable. Brighton passed it and probed and passed it, and when they got the goal, Brighton, you thought, oh dear, this has got draw written all over it. But then they threw bodies forward all over the place. Minte's missed an absolute sitter to make it 2-2, and then we killed it off. People will look at it and say, oh, 3-1, it's been a comfortable win. It's been anything but that. Nick Pope had a couple of dodgy moments, but he's made a couple of unbelievable saves as well. Really has made unbelievable saves to keep us in the game. So it's a difficult one to analyse, to be quite honest, Colin, because you just don't know where to start. You know, we get the ball and all we do is keep giving it back to the opposition. We don't keep the ball well enough. When you see the way that Brighton kept the ball and moved the ball, we don't do that. Brighton played a high line and we exploited that in the first half with the pace of Willock and Asula. You know, but the win was important. The win was absolutely huge. So, you know, it was one that we needed to win, and we've won it.
Yeah, let's give other people the task of summing the match up then, if we want. You can message us on WhatsApp 08000 321 333, or you can text us on 81333. Just make sure BBC is the first word that you start your message with. In terms of what it's done to the table, I mean, still only 8 points between Brentford in 6th and Leeds in 15th. Newcastle up to 45 points and up to 13th. Sunderland on 47 now and in 12th. So Sunderland on 47, above them Everton also on 47, Fulham on 48, Chelsea in 48, but all with a game in hand. Fulham at Arsenal in about 15 minutes time. Bournemouth on 49, also with a game in hand. Brighton on 50 and Brentford on 51. So still, Sunderland, after all of this, still only 3 points off the European places. Newcastle then on 45, below them Palace and Leeds on 43, albeit Palace have got 2 games in hand. And then I don't think we need to worry about Nottingham Forest or West Ham particularly anymore. Just because I think this will be the biggest talking point, and I apologise to Ryan, who's a Sunderland fan, waiting on the line if I steal his thunder here. But Benno, it's the thing to ask you, is Dan Ballard's red card and how you feel about it?
Well, you look at it now, especially this season. I'm going to grow my hair long, by the way, and I don't know where this has all come from. You know, pulling off the hair.
You'd just be happy to grow your hair, never mind grow it long.
Yeah, there's 3 of us in that scenario, Ando. Let's not get too carried away.
Exactly. Well, I'm just making the point, emphasising.
But John, help me out here. When did pulling off the hair come into the game?
God knows, Gary.
What do you mean, Gary? Do you mean when did people start doing it, or when did it start being pulled up?
I've never known of it. No. I don't know if John has. But, players pulling people's hair. Come on. When did that start?
And therefore, for you, is it a justified red card?
Well, it is a red card.
Yeah.
It's in the rules. That's part and parcel of the game. Anybody pulling the hair, it's a red card. It's a straight red.
Let's bring in Ryan, who's a Sunderland supporter who's been waiting very patiently on the line. Sorry for how long it's taken you, Ryan, but good evening. How are you doing?
Hello, Colin. Are you alright, Benno?
Hello, Ryan.
You alright? You've hit the nail on the head, really. You've seen Lisandro Martinez done it. He pulled the hair, got sent off. They should know that. It's all ifs and buts, really. If he doesn't pull the hair, we win that game. But having said that, I'm happy. There'll be fans. There'll be fans kicking off that we haven't beat
about
them.
What?
Even with
okay.
That we haven't beat them. There will be fans kicking off. It's ridiculous, though, that there should be. I'm happy with the point. Like, after I knew he was going to get sent off. But I'm the same as you. I'm happy. Like I thought we played well. There was a response.
Yeah, we did.
But I hope that people don't kick off like they did last week. We didn't. Yes, we didn't get beat, but we drew with 10 men from 25 minutes against relegated Wolves. I think we played well.
I think everybody wanted a response. That was the kind of narrative, wasn't it, Gary?
Yeah, you're looking for a reaction.
You look for a reaction to what is obviously the heaviest home defeat ever. Did you get that, broadly speaking?
Yes, you did. Yeah, we got it. You look, if we had 11 players on the pitch, you go on and win the game. I think it just summed it up, Colin, when the final whistle went and Wolves got booed off.
There was no atmosphere in Molineux. I felt sorry for them. We've went through that. But then again, results, for once, Newcastle have done us a favour, haven't they, Benno?
Yeah. In what sense? In terms of keeping that gap to the European places, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
And I like that. I admire that. So you are still I mean, because you're right, Sunderland only 3 points behind Brighton. There's a few teams with games in hand, etc. I think that gap will probably grow by the end of the weekend. But that's still where you're looking in the table, Ryan.
I'm not saying we will. Like people say, if we do it, we'll be in a relegation battle, but we'll strengthen. And I don't mind it. I was watching the game, and Evan Akugo was saying, every challenge was Wolves, but like he was saying, Sunderland will lose players in the summer and that. And I just thought,
what do you mean we'll lose players in the summer?
What
did he mean by that? At the start of the game, he went, they've had a tremendous season, but they'll lose they'll lose players in the and I was thinking, well, you're clueless, really.
Well, no, I think that probably is true.
You lose one or two. Lose one or two, but not. I think he meant more than that.
Yeah. And we know, Benno, just to kind of round this little chat off, we know that Sunderland's recruitment planning has always been good. They will be anticipating potentially losing a couple. That's why Melker Erbo's been signed already, in the off chance that they receive a fee that they're find acceptable for Robin Roofs. So there's no kind of need to fear losing a couple of players, is there?
No, it's gonna happen at every club. You know what I mean? They're looking at the next level. You know, would we be going into next season with the same squad? No, we wouldn't. It needs freshening up. You know, and to do that, you've got to add a little bit more quality into the team.
And that has happened in previous transfer windows and will probably happen again. Ryan, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for being the first caller on this evening. Really appreciate you taking the time to give us a call. 0800 234 6565. The South Tyneside treble is still on at the moment. South Shield still leading by a 1-0. We'll go back to Paul Dixon if anything happens there. And Jarrow 0-0 now at half time in extra time in their Division 2 playoff final against Yarm and Eagles Cliff. Let's bring in Johnny, who's a Newcastle United supporter. Good evening, Johnny. How are you?
Good evening, everybody. Very happy, very happy to play this evening. A very good performance today for Newcastle United. It wasn't perfect today, but it was just what we needed. The last few weeks haven't been good enough, and I think there was a little bit of pressure on the manager coming into this game, definitely. But I think there's absolutely critics with that performance today. I think the players are definitely still playing from the performance this afternoon.
Yeah, you're quite difficult, a little bit difficult to hear, Johnny. Well, I think, Ando, did you hear that? Is my first question.
I heard some of it. I heard some of it.
It needed it in terms of atmosphere and whole kind of vibe around the club.
We needed a win. You know, since coming back from the international break, we haven't looked like winning games. You know, you came back here today, and even before the game, you could feel the tension, you could feel the nerves beforehand. Everything was a little bit flat because I think, in all honesty, nobody really knew what to expect today, because that's the way we've been. You know, you come to games and you think, what are we getting today? What sort of a performance are we going to get? And I think a lot of people weren't too sure what the performance was going to be. So, look, it was all about winning the game today. It was all about getting 3 points on the board, and that's exactly what they've done. Was it perfect? No, not by a long way. I mean, outsiders who haven't seen the game will look at this and see, Newcastle beat Brighton 3-1. That's impressive. Must have played really, really well. But 3-1 probably flatters us a little bit, because second half, Brighton absolutely dominated the ball, and when it got to 2-1, you could feel the nerves inside the stadium. The tension rose. And the one thing, yet again, what we didn't do, and I don't know whether you agree with this or not, Johnny, got the 2-1. We just didn't keep the ball. We kept giving the ball back to them all the time. We just don't keep the ball well enough.
Yeah, I think you've got to respect the opposition in a sense. That's what Brighton are. And a possession-based team, very, very good team.
No, I'm going to bail on you, Johnny. I'm afraid we just too much of a struggle to be able to hear what you're saying, I'm afraid. We'll get you on Total Sport during the week, I am sure. I'm going to read a few of these Newcastle messages to you, Andy, because there are plenty of them. Much needed. This one doesn't have a name on it. Much needed win for Newcastle. Good to see Barnes end his drought and Johan Wissa get the assist. If only they could stop these second half drop-offs as a team, that one says. Yeah, I think on an individual level, you have to be pleased for Yohan Wissa with his assist for Barnes off the back of his miss about 5 minutes before it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the chance is a centre forward's dream. You know, Hall does great, picks it up, busts forward, plays the ball into a great area. You know, an area that a centre forward loves. And yet again, he's leaning back and he lifts it high over the top. Big chance. But at least he's getting there. You know, that I suppose that's the one thing you take out of it. He came on, he ran around, didn't see a great deal of the ball, but he looked fitter. He looked hungrier. But if he had to put that away, that would have done his confidence the world of good.
Brian says, I didn't like the team selections at the start, especially the front three and the left back, but the manager was vindicated. 3-1, not a fair reflection of the game, though. Brighton were the better team in the second half, missed a few sitters. One in particular, let's be honest.
Oh dear.
But we missed a couple ourselves. Regardless of all of that, happy with a very important win, says Brian. And there's another couple of messages mentioning Dan Burn starting ahead of Lewis Hall and sort of people being a bit nervy when they saw that was the case. I know it's not as simple as Newcastle won, therefore it was the right team, but can you see why Dan Burn was picked ahead of Lewis Hall and did it?
No.
Was it justified? Not necessarily, no.
Not at home. No. And the reason being, I just mentioned, you know, he set up Wissa because that's what he does. He gets forward. Yeah. He's Dan Burn doesn't do that. You know, Dan Burn is not going to make that run. He's not going to carry the ball forward a pace and do that. I can understand Dan Burn being played last week against Arsenal. I fully get that because of Arsenal's height and the danger at set piece. Yeah, fine. You're at home today. You expect to have more of the ball. You expect to get forward more. Look, I'm not saying Dan Burn didn't play well. You know, he made some important header, got some huge headers, some big blocks, but I just think Hall would have given us an awful lot more in those forward areas.
Keep your messages coming in 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp, 81333 if they are text messages. Start them all with the letters BBC. We'll talk to Darryl, who's a Sunderland fan, in just a moment. It is 5:25.
Matt Bailey at breakfast. It's absolutely beaut out there this morning, so we're doing boiling hot bingo, the things you'll definitely see around the northeast today. Cal from Burnetfield.
Obviously, all of us up here were quite fair-skinned, aren't we? And you got a load of people walking around, absolutely pink, going, nah, it looks bad, but it'll go brown in the morning.
It's like the worst skin advice in the world, isn't it?
And I know that they're going to be the people because I'm going to be one of them.
Have a fantastic bank holiday weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday. Matt Bailey at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle. Total Sport Northeast.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
This on the right-hand side at the foot of the Sir Jack Hayward stand. Xhaka drives this in towards the far post, and it's a goal. Sunderland score from Mukiele. He got up on the end of that Xhaka corner and heads it from 4 yards to give Sunderland the lead in the 17th minute. A lot of pushing going on. The ball swept in here, headed down and in. And the equaliser has been scored by Santiago Bueno.
Bruno's past Murphy. Over bringing out of the box has taken Murphy down. Play goes on. Murphy's cross headed in by William Osula. Jacob Murphy kept going after being bundled over by the goalkeeper outside of the area with the goal completely free. That is very much what they needed. 12 minutes on the clock at St James's Park. Newcastle United 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Players run to the front post. Bruno with the delivery. Dan Burn! And now everybody huddles together in the corner. Huge satisfaction at that goal. Big Dan Burn against his old club. And a second for Newcastle United. Belieber has the ball and then forwards to Welbeck and then Hinshelwood and Welbeck and Hinshelwood in the area and he scored. This time it hits the net from Brighton's Hinshelwood and their 2-goal cushion is halved in the 62nd minute. Newcastle United 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Burn sends it forwards. Wissa to chase. Van Hecker is there. Wissa putting him under pressure. Wissa's got in. A chance to seal it for Wissa. Plays it back to Harvey Barnes. Goalkeeper's off his line. Barnes! That'll do. Johan Wissa has created a third goal for Harvey Barnes.
Total Sport Northeast.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
An action-packed afternoon then across the country. We'll try and get an update from South Shields shortly as well. Still leading by a 0-0 though. They're into the last couple of minutes of extra time against between Yarmouth, Eaglescliff and Jarrow as well in that Division 2 playoff final. But let's talk to Darryl, who is a Sunderland supporter, who's going to talk about the 1-1 draw at Wolves this afternoon. Good evening, Darryl.
I'm not just going to talk about the 1-1 draw, by the way.
Well, talk about whatever you want to talk about. Go for it. The floor is yours.
I could feel the John Anderson and Razor. I could feel through the radio there the sigh of relief that they've stayed up. They've stayed up by the skin of their teeth again. That's unbelievable, John. You know how much I love you, but honestly, I could feel the relief through the radio that I'm in Wolverhampton.
Stayed up by the skin of our teeth. Stayed up by the skin of our teeth again.
Listen, you know how much I love you.
Hey,
but honestly,
you want to stay off that West Midlands mile that's too strong for you, lad.
I think you're right. I think you could be right. Listen, Gary.
Yes, Darryl.
Are you there? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm not. Listen, I've got loads of trouble in the back of the car here because everybody thinks I'm miserable and I'm old and I'm boring. But listen, when you concede 10 goals in 3 games, can you put these lads in the back of the car right here, Gary? That's not good enough, man. I look at the goals conceded in the league as well. We're looking to stay in this league, by the way. I watched this today. I watched this against Forest last Friday, and honest to God, the intensity, the pressing's gone. The substitutes are gone. I just think in another back post, week in, we go 10 goals in 3 games. What's all that about?
So you're surprised that we're staying in this league, did you say?
Yes. Conceding 10 goals in 3 games, yes.
Hold on. After the season which we've had, and you're saying you're surprised.
Gary, are you seeing the league table?
How many games are you going off here? Come on. Let's be fair. We had a bad. Hold on. We had a bad result last Friday. All of a sudden, the season's gone pear-shaped.
No, it's not that, right? I go to every away game, right? So I've been to West Ham 3-0. I've been to Brentford 3-0. I've been to Arsenal 3-0. I've been to Man U 2-0. So I go to every single game, right? Regardless of what you think. So I've seen all them goals getting shipped against us, right? And I watch the goalkeeper and I watch our defence, which is the best. Our defence has been our saviour the first half of the season, and I watch us concede 10 goals in 3 games from the back post. Right. They keep us messing about with the back, just tippy-tapping it, not kicking it out, and we're conceding 10 goals. Conceding 10 goals in 3 games isn't about it. It's not good enough.
It's not good enough. So what do you think should change then? No, come on. What do you think should change? So the season hasn't been good enough.
Listen, I look at Tri-Hume. I look at Aldereti at times. I look at Talby. I look at players like that. The goalkeeper, since he's come back from injury, isn't the same kid, by the way. Whether his head's been turned with a £60 million transfer, I don't know. But he's passing out from the back and he's putting defenders under pressure. Aldereti has a daft half an hour and he's passing the ball to him. Miss him out. So Gary, 10 goals. 10 goals.
Okay. Okay. So these players which you've just mentioned are not good enough.
Nah.
Are you serious?
No. I'm being serious, I'm
gonna chuck some numbers at you, Darryl. I'm gonna chuck some numbers at you. Sunderland have conceded the same number of goals in the Premier League this season as Manchester United and Brentford. They've only conceded 2 more than Liverpool. They've conceded fewer than Bournemouth. They've only conceded 1 fewer than Chelsea. Yes, they haven't scored very many, and I get that. But surely a team that is 13 points clear of relegation with 4 games to go deserves to stay up.
Games? How do it fare in the last 3 games? Can you put that through your stats?
But you've earned the right.
Is that what you're going off?
You've earned the right to fall off. You've earned the right to a loss of form and to a loss of defensive strength, surely.
I disagree. Like I say, I was at West Ham 3-0. I was at Brentford 3-0. I was at Arsenal 3-0. Okay against Arsenal, forget about that. But West Ham 3-0. What you're talking about here is conceding goals against Forest, West Ham, and Wolves as well. So these are teams that are in the bottom 3 and bottom 4 that we're conceding lots of goals against. Now listen, whatever you say, I go home and away and I've watched a lot of football. Yes, Gary's a professional footballer, so is John. I get it. I understand you know more than me. However, put yourself in my shoes. I'm seeing we're shipping goals week in, week out now. I just think we've give up or something's happened. I don't know what's happened.
Give up?
I tell you, listen, let's finish. And I tell you another thing, and this is another controversial point as well. I don't care if Reginald Bree's in charge next season.
Eh?
I was at Port Vale, right? I was at Port Vale.
Oh, right? Come on.
No, let him finish his point. Let him finish his point, Ben.
Listen to us. Listen, let's get me point across. I don't care if Reginald Bree's in charge next season. I don't. I really don't. Okay. And don't say, well, who would replace him? Because I'm just telling you, I don't care whether he's there or not. Because his substitutions aren't good enough. At times, he devoids of ideas. He's devoids of creativity.
Okay.
There's going to be a bit of a reaction to this. Darryl, I'm going to leave you there. Ben, I've not finished with you. Darryl, thank you, but I appreciate lots of people talking over each other.
Darryl, drive careful, son. Get all that anger out of you.
Darryl, thank you. I want to tell Darryl we're not coming back to him, which is why I'm saying thank you. Benno, what was the last point you were going to make there?
Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But yes. I think what he's just mentioned now and what he's gone over, he's gone way over the top. I'm sorry. I might be wrong. But he's gone way over the top for me.
I think a team that is, like I said, 13 points clear of relegation with 3 games to go, deserves to stay up and has been good enough to stay up. I think it's very difficult to back Darryl up. And I'm not having a go at him after he's gone. We've ended the call. I think it's very difficult to back up a statement that Sunderland are lucky to stay up. I find that
what was his expectations? What's his expectations?
Yeah. Well, we have ended the call.
Being in the Premier League.
Give us a call. You may well have time to respond to Darryl as a Sunderland supporter. 0800 234 6565. South Shield still leading by a goal to 0. Jarrow against Yarman Eaglescliff has gone to penalties. There will be a penalty shootout to decide who gets promotion to Northern League Division 1 next season. And the snooker is coming to a nail-biting conclusion as well, because it's John Higgins against Sean Murphy, 1st to 17. Sean Murphy is 16-15 up, but John Higgins leads by almost 50 points in the 32nd frame. They may well be going to a decider. Couple more of these text and WhatsApp messages just before we talk to Martin, who's a Newcastle fan, but a lot of these messages are Newcastle messages as well. This one is from John, who says, massive victory and 3 points today, but we cannot continue with Pope in goal, Ando. I know he's made a big save, but his mistakes could easily have cost us the game today. That said, nice to see how reacting to what was happening and going to 3 at the back and the subs having a positive effect. Thought the midfield showed signs of being the same midfield 3 as last year, and having Miley back makes a difference as well. There have been a couple of other messages mentioning goalkeepers. Was that almost a typical... Did Nick Pope show us exactly what he's like as a goalkeeper? He'll make mistakes with his feet, but he'll make brilliant saves with his hands.
He makes brilliant saves with his feet as well, to be fair.
True, yes, you know what I mean, yeah.
But, look, the one that when they hit the post, you went, whoa, yeah, that's a little bit of luck you need. You just feel that it's going to be your day when that happens. He got away with that one. He got away with a couple more. But in fairness to him, he's made a couple of big saves. I mean, a save right at the end. The keeper at 2-1 was brilliant, but yeah, it's all about getting that balance right, isn't it? You look at the keeper at the other end, Verbruggen, comfortable with his feet, quite happy to have the ball, pings it long, pings it into areas, but every time it gets rolled back to Nick Pope, your heart's in your mouth. because he just doesn't put his foot through it. He's not a great kicker of the ball. So at times it is heart in the mouth jobs.
And just one more Sunderland message before we talk to Martin. Jason in Jarrow says, "Evening lads, I don't think Dan Ballard pulled Arakadari's hair deliberately. He was jumping for a header, he was pulling the Wolves player's shirt and his hair got tangled." I don't quite feel that's a strong argument against it, Benno, because you're not meant to be pulling people's shirts anyway. So I was trying to commit one foul and accidentally committed another one. I'm not sure that's a great defence, is it?
No, not at all. For me, I just don't know where this has come from, really. All of a sudden, you see players pulling people's hair. Why?
Yes, not entirely sure.
Wish somebody had pulled my hair.
We all wish we had hair to pull. We know that.
I wish I had hair to pull.
Yes, exactly. I'm firmly in that camp as well, by the way, Gary. Just an update on the cricket. Durham cricket, they have now finally gone off for rain. We knew it was coming. Martin Emerson telling us it was coming. They're 135 for 1, are Durham, trailing by 295. And according to Martin Emerson, it looks unlikely that they'll get themselves back on today. Let's have a chat then to Martin, who's a Newcastle supporter. Evening, Martin.
Evening.
Hey,
satisfied ultimately, I suppose.
Yeah, but a bit of a roller coaster ride. With I was sitting there listening in, and I was on the edge of my seat. Goodness knows what it was like for the fans of Razor and Ando inside the stadium today. Goodness me! But I think we did ride our luck, but I think we needed that today. And I think chances like for Wissa at the end there, blazing it over the crossbar, and for Yannick Minter at the other end for Brighton, where he missed that absolute sitter. I think it's all about confidence with these players, but I think we'll take the result, even though Brighton played well. I think it was a good result in the end, and of course Harvey Barnes has came up stumps again, but yeah, fantastic result, but boy did we ride our luck.
Yeah, look, it was more important, the result, more than anything else. You just hope that they get a little bit of confidence out of that. Second half, Brighton totally dominated, and when it went to 2-1, it got really nervy. You could feel the tension inside St James's, and you thought, oh God, this has got 2-2 written all over it. And then Minte misses an absolute sitter, and then they throw so many bodies forward, they leave gaps all over the place, and Harvey Barnes does what he does best. He's great finish, stuck in the roof of the net. But the win was the most important thing. I think it was important for everybody, players, manager, supporters, that we got a win. It wasn't great. We weren't at our very best, but we scored 3 goals, and it's an important 3 points for us.
Yeah, with the majority of this team, I know they're saying that household changes need to be made. This is what people are saying, obviously not the club, but I think the majority of this team, though, Ando, I think some are coming towards the end of their careers, but the majority of them they're okay. I would stick with them. Would you do that? Would you stick with most of these players?
I think it needs a refresh in certain areas. Asula, because of the high line that Brighton play, him and Willock, especially first half, had loads of space to play into. And the one thing you'd say is that Eddie Howe probably got his tactics right, because when Brighton broke forward and all of a sudden it broke down, we just went long in behind them, and we used the pace of Willock, and we used the pace of Asula to get in behind, and it caused Brighton loads of problems in that first half. Second half, to be fair, we couldn't get the ball to do that. They kept the ball really well in the second half, but either way, it looks like we're going to need a right back, we're going to need a left back, probably need 2 right backs, because if rumours are true that Livramento's going, you'll need 2 right backs, because Kraft will go as well. Midfield, Do we need another midfield player in there? I would say we need a midfield player. We need another forward player. It needs refreshing. There's no doubt about it that it needs refreshing. I think the summer is going to be huge, Martin. We'll wait and see what a lot of these players want to do. And who stays and who wants to stay is the important factor about it all. Who actually wants to stay and who wants to go. If they want to go, let them go. But it needs refreshing. I think it needs a little bit of a refresh. It's been a tough old season. There's been plenty of games played, but we need one or two new faces. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what I was meaning, Ando. Yeah, try and keep a nucleus of a team together.
Oh yes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Botman will be better next season. Once he gets a pre-season under his belt, I think him and Chow, obviously Lewis Hall on this at left back. Will those three in midfield still be there? We'll see. But it's in those forward areas that we'll wait and see what happens. But and look at Nick Pope today. He's made a couple of great saves, but we most definitely need another goalkeeper as well.
Yes, that's been a theme of a few messages today. Thank you, Martin, for your call this evening. We are on until 6 o'clock. 0800 234 6565. If we can't squeeze you in, we'll try and book you in for Total Sport on Monday. Simon Pride back with Marco and Ando as well. The penalty shootout is still going on between Jarrow and Yarman Eagles Cliff. It's currently 3-3 in that one, but they must be getting towards the end at the First Cloud Arena. South Shields in their National League North playoff semi-final against Buxton. Paul Dixon is there. Bring us up to speed, Paul. Bring us up to speed,
Hello,
Paul.
Colin. Yes, that's just been a goal here. Yes. And, has he disallowed it? No, he's disallowed the goal. The goal went to Buxton. Ball into the box. Goalkeeper Tom Watson missed it, and they've tapped it into the net, but the referee's not having it. As they've just hit the post before that, Buxton, it's all Buxton taking the game to South Shields. Shields have got their subs on, and they're playing with 5 or 6 at the back, really defending, but they are winning 1-0 as we've got 3 minutes to go. But that was a let off there for Shields, but Shields are still winning 1-0, as I say, with 3 minutes to go, and there'll be time added on as well.
Paul Dixon, thank you. We will come back to you as soon as there is a conclusion in that match. There is a conclusion in the snooker, by the way. Sean Murphy has beaten John Higgins by 17 frames to 15, so he is into the final, and he will play the winner of Mark Alden and Wu Yiza, who play the second semi-final, to a finish tonight. We'll go back to your calls and messages in just a moment, but after Sunderland's 1-1 draw at Wolves this afternoon, let's hear from winger Shemsdean Talby. He's been speaking to Nick Barnes.
Overall, frustrated, or do you feel that a point away from home is always a good point?
I think a little bit frustrated because I think we were the best team on the pitch today, even with 10. But okay, we react well from the game against Forest, and that was the most important to do. And I think 1 point is not so bad.
What was your take on the sending off?
Yeah, I think I didn't saw the action. Honestly, we need to deal with it. It's the decision of the referee. So we did a great job to stay like this and to get it 1 point.
And you showed a lot of spirit, as you say, to put last week out of your system today.
Yeah, of course we had to react also to show to the fans that we're still here for the end of the season, and we did a good job today.
You talk about frustration. How frustrating has it been for you, because you've been in and out, and I think there's a feeling people like to see Lefay in the middle and you on the left to give the team a little bit more roundness, if you like.
Yeah, I think, but when the coach gave me the occasion to play, I need to give everything. Even sometimes I deserve to play, but I just need to show on the pitch my qualities, and that's it.
Shemsdean Talby talking to Nick Barnes after the 1-1 draw at Wolves. Today we will hear from Eddie Howe before the end of the programme as well. Let's have a chat then quickly to Christopher. He's a Sunderland supporter who joins us on the line. Good evening, sir.
Hello. Alright.
Hello, Christopher.
What's your reaction then to a 1-1 draw, but where Sunderland played with 10 men for 3/4 of the game?
Is Ben on here?
Yes, he is.
I'm here.
Hello, Gary.
Hello, Christopher.
Hello. I love you. Harry, pal.
How are you?
Yeah. I just think it was good, but I just the caller before, agreeing with Reggie Sabris. I'm not sure how much more forward he can take with. Because I think more of our tactics and commands come from big players we've got on the pitch, etc. Do you know what I mean? I like Regis Sabris, he's done a great job and we've played well, but I don't know how much sorry?
Who would you like in then?
I don't know, just anyone. I'm just not sure how much respect or command he's got on the pitch. When you say like Granit Xhaka today, and I think it's more like the players on the pitch, do you know what I mean? Someone a bit more high profile, I don't know who we could get, or I just think we should try and do you know what I mean, to push forward.
So you want a high profile manager?
Well, not a high profile, just someone a bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Right, so you want somebody with a little bit more than what Reggie Lebris brings.
Yeah.
Off the field.
He's a bit passive. Yeah, he's just a bit.
What happens? What happens if he can't get results? Would you be happy with that?
No, it's just that. I think because a lot of the good results we get and how well we've done through Granit Xhaka, leaders of the team and big players, I think he's just a bit passive and getting a lot more, so much the accolade than he deserves, to be fair. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I think there'll be quite a few people disagree with you, Christopher, but I completely take your point. Thank you for giving us a call. Sorry to cut it a little bit short. It's 10 to 6. And there will be... I'm interested in the fact that that Daryl wasn't a one-off, basically, and that someone has called in to support Daryl's point of view about Regis Sabris in particular. So I think Total Sport might be interesting on Monday.
Do you know what?
Briefly.
Do you know what it is, Colin?
Yeah.
Quickly, it's expectations. That's what it is. What is the expectations now?
Yeah, and how much they've gone up since the start of the season, because every single Sunderland fan without fail would have taken 47 points and 13 ahead of the relegation zone with 3 games to go. Every single one. So that is how things change over time. Football fans are football fans, I suppose. Right, we're going to turn our attention back to Newcastle United again for the next few minutes, because here talking to the BBC is the Newcastle United head coach, Eddie Howe.
Yeah, big win for us. It's felt like a long run of negative results, and we needed a big performance, and we needed to turn that round. And I think when you add the importance of the Sunderland game and the international break, it's been tough for the players, because we felt we had a cloud over us for a while and we needed to lift it, and the only way we can do that, no one's going to give you it, is to fight and to scrap and try and win a game of football. And we did that today. It wasn't beautiful, but it was, I thought, highly effective, and I thought the players played really well.
Eddie, going back to the first half and the celebrations after the second goal, after Dan Burns' header, all the outfield players went to the corner, they huddled together. It seemed like a real show of togetherness and unity from the players, which after a bad run must be so pleasing to see and so important.
Yeah, I've never questioned that, Lorenzo. I know other people will, and I understand that from the outside, because they're seeing the result. Inside, as I say, the commitment to what we've asked the players to do, the training, training's been really competitive, it's been really strong. That wouldn't surprise me to say that wasn't something that I was necessarily focusing on, but that wouldn't surprise me that the players do that. Of course, they'd be happy for Dan as well, because he's such a popular member of the dressing room. But a big goal from Dan, we needed that second goal.
You mentioned earlier about the change you made when you had the triple sub. They weren't like-for-like changes. You changed the system, moved things around a bit. Can you tell us a little bit more about the thinking there, because it was at a key time after Brighton had pulled one back?
Yeah, I felt we just needed an extra defender in our back line in that moment. They were giving us problems with the width. They were crossing lots of balls, and I felt we needed a bit of help. We haven't always had those options to do that during the season. We've had a real shortage of defenders. Our substitution options in that respect have been severely limited, so it was nice today to have a spare defender to be able to make that tactical change, and I felt it helped us. And obviously when Harvey scores, it's a great moment.
Eddie Howe there speaking to Matthew Raisbeck. The South Tyneside treble is off. Yarmouth Eaglescliffe have won the Northern League Division 2 playoff final 5-4 on penalties against Jarrow. But back to the First Cloud Arena. South Shields against Buxton deep into injury time. Paul Dixon.
It's amazing. They've just had a one kicked off the line. South Shield. Buxton should have really scored. He's hit the keeper and it's come out. Nerves are really dangling here at the First Cloud Arena. Yes, Shield's breaking here. It's been cleared. It's end-to-end stuff, Colin. It really is. Shields are still winning 1-0. Still 2 minutes to go. The ball's gone out for a throw-in. Maybe they'll take their time. And hopefully this 2 minutes will go quick. Still 1-0 here, Colin.
Thank you, Paul. We will come back to you as soon as there is a final score, or if there's another goal. But I think most of us just wishing for a full-time whistle now. We've only got about 6 minutes left of the programme. There's only 2 minutes left in that game. We've just heard from Eddie Howe. Ando, going to read out one more of these Newcastle messages as well. It's from Morris in Rothbury. He said, we were cruising at half-time and then looked like we had a pacemaker fitted in the second half. What? But we will take it all day long. I'll finish the message. Quick question, what happened to the fourth official? Nobody knew how much added time there was, so there was a huge relief at the final whistle. Keep the faith, lads, says Morris. I think it's just because the goal was scored pretty much as the board was going up and nobody really looked at the board. I don't know if that was the issue. But you take issue with the phrase cruising at half-time, though?
I never felt we were cruising. Even though we were 2-0 up at half-time, some of the defending was, you had some dodgy moments, and you always thought if Brighton get one, it's game on, and so it was. You know, they got one and they were totally dominant in that second half, Bournemouth. But to say we were cruising, dear oh dear. Just because you're 2-0 up doesn't mean you're cruising.
Yes, true. Dave in Prada says, stop picking on Johan Wissa. He's had hardly any time to build form. Marco has said that strikers need games to build form. Wissa just hasn't had any. Criticism of him is rubbish until he gets a run in the team, says Dave.
No, he's not going to get a run in the team now.
No, but the point being...
only 3 games to go.
No, but Dave's point being he's not played enough for us to judge him.
No, hey, that's a fair point, but you know, look at players of his quality should be putting those chances away. It doesn't matter how long you've been out. You know, he had the one at Arsenal last week, which was a huge chance, and he put that one over the top. And this was a gilt-edged centre forward chance. You know, he doesn't have a great deal to do. You know, Colin, he's coming on to it. Boom, put your foot through it, get your head over it. Ball ends up in the back of the net. He gets there, he's leaning back, and it's always rising high over the top.
I want to read you this one, Benno, as well. That's from Rob, who says Darryl, who we had on a couple of calls ago, saying that Sunderland were lucky to stay up and that he didn't care if Regis Sulbish was the manager next season. Rob says Darryl sounds angry. He's probably venting what we all think at times, but if someone had said we'd be on 47 points, beat the opposition up the road twice and be mid-table, I'd have said brilliant. The hierarchy will know what needs strengthening and who to ship out. Keep the faith, get behind the lads. And as for today, says Rob, the red card cost us. The rules surely need to be changed, though yellow is sufficient. And then when you see Elliot Anderson's foul on Thursday going unpunished, Rob says the game has gone.
Yeah, it has indeed. But laws are laws, aren't they? Unfortunately, pulling off the hair now is a straight red. I don't think they're going to change it. They're not going to change it back to a yellow. That's for sure. You wouldn't have thought. I mean, certainly not in Ballard's case, but probably not in terms of the laws going forwards as well. But just on Rob's point as well, if somebody had said we'd be on 47 points and win 2 derbies and be mid-table, etc., everybody would have taken that, wouldn't they? Of course they would. You know, look, Sunderland have been fantastic this season for what they've achieved. They've been brilliant. What I'm going to do is say thank you to the two of you, and then hopefully the time it takes me to do that, we'll have had a final whistle at South Shields and I've talked to Paul Dixon. So safe journey back up the road, Benno. Cheers, Colin.
Gary.
Thank you, John Anderson, as well. Ando will be back on Total Sport on Monday, and Gary Bennett will be back on Total Sport on Friday. Let's get ourselves back to the First Cloud Arena then. We've got exactly 2 minutes left of this programme. How long is left in the National League North playoff semi-final, Paul Dixon?
We're at 99 minutes and 28 seconds. There's a free kick in the South Shields half. They've launched it to Kedwin Scott. The whistle's gone. The whistle's gone. Brilliant result for South Shields. What a second half, Colin. It was really nerve-wracking. Buxton really lifted the game and came to South Shields.
but South Shields defended superbly. The goalie made some good saves, and I'm just delighted that it's over. At South Shields have won 1-0, and they go through to play Kidderminster next Saturday. A great effort by South Shields. I'm absolutely delighted, as is everybody else here at the First Cloud Arena.
Paul Dixon, we timed that beautifully. Thank you very much indeed to you, Paul. And South Shields will resume this mini rivalry now with Kidderminster, who beat them on the last day of the season. Next weekend, that will be the National League North playoff final. Still not got a kick-off time confirmed for that, but we know that it will be next weekend, next Saturday, and we know that we will be there as well. 2,300 at South Shields today. I think there'll be a few more than that when Kidderminster come to town next weekend. 90 minutes away then from the National League. Thank you to everybody who has texted and sent messages into us as well this afternoon. We've had a couple of probably decent results in the end. Certainly a good result for Newcastle United. 3-1 victory over Brighton. Their first win in 6 games, Newcastle. William Asula with his 7th of the season, and then Dan Byrne in the first half. Harvey Barnes in the 95th minute sealing that victory. Sunderland had scored and had a man sent off inside the first 25 minutes. Nordy Mukiele with the goal. Dan Ballard, though, with a red card for a hair pull after 24 minutes. Wolves got one back 10 minutes into the second half, and that is how it finished. The two teams right next to each other now in the Premier League table. Total Sport will be back on Monday to go through all of the weekend's action.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.